Chapter 4391. Half a month later, the Empress chose a suitable crown princess for Tang Wenpan again. When she told Tang Wenpan about this matter, he still resisted. The Empress was very angry, but she didn't show it on the surface. She only asked Tang Wenpan what he was dissatisfied with. She could help him choose what he liked. Of course, Tang Wenpan couldn't say that he liked Meng Shireen. He clearly felt that the Empress was dissatisfied with Meng Shireen. If he said this again, it would only make things difficult for Meng Shireen. He insisted that he didn't want to get married now. He just wanted to learn more about being a ruler from his father. If it was in the past, the Empress would have believed his nonsense. This was clearly an excuse. Her son seemed to have been bewitched by Meng Shireen, that little fox. As her crown prince, how could he not have a concubine? In the future, the crown prince would be the emperor. He couldn't marry only one person, right? In the past, she thought that if Meng Shireen was more obedient, it wouldn't be impossible for her to be a concubine. In this situation, it wouldn't work. Mama, how are the preparations on your side? It's all ready. I'm just waiting for your orders. Then do it. The sooner you do it, the sooner the crown prince can marry the crown princess. It can't be delayed any longer. Do you want the whole court to see a joke? The matter of the minister's daughter had a bad impact on Tang Wenpan. It led to the engagement of the minister's daughter that he thought was good. This matter also angered the Empress. She didn't know that there were many things that could make her faint. A few days later, Wei Sun came to report new news to Tang Gua. It was about Meng Shireen and the third prince. Could it be that the crown prince found out that Meng Shireen and the third prince were having an affair? I don't know what's wrong with the third prince. He is the kind of person who will get what he likes by any means. But this was a good opportunity, so he didn't take action. He just endured it for a night and slept with Meng Shireen. Both of them were drugged, but they were able to endure it. Wei Sun's words were full of admiration. This should be true love. In the morning, the effect of the drug was basically over. Because of their restraint and struggle, they did look a little messy. In addition, they were chatting early in the morning about the crown prince's consort selection. Meng Shireen was very touched by the third prince's gentlemanliness. It was inevitable that the two of them would talk ambiguously. Coincidentally, the crown prince saw them and thought that something had happened between them. Wei Sun continued, the crown prince probably thinks that he is struggling with the empress and doesn't want to marry the crown princess, while Meng Shireen's heart is cold because of him and his brother. Although the empress's move did not reach the extreme, it still affected the crown prince. If the empress continues to persuade him, the crown prince will most likely marry a concubine. However, nothing happened between Meng Shireen and the third prince. This matter will most likely ferment later on. At that time, it will probably be a pot of stew again, and it will be enough to torment me. After saying that, Wei Sun couldn't help but look at Tang Gua a few more times. He expressed a sentence from the bottom of his heart. Now I finally understand why the princess wanted to keep Meng Shireen alive. Meng Shireen alone was able to destroy the crown prince, as well as a few young masters and princes. Impressive. After hearing this, Tang Guo also felt that this play was very exciting. Sure enough, Meng Shireen wouldn't let her down. So many things had happened in a short period of time. Peak. Chapter 4392. The next day, Wei Sun came again. He came just as the sun rose. The people in the princess residence were used to it. They thought that eunuch Wei must have something important to discuss with the princess. Tang Gua instructed the people around her that if Wei Sun came over, they were to call her no matter what time it was. The two of them met in the study room in a very formal manner. It really looked like they were discussing business. Who would have thought that Wei Sun was just giving Tang Guo the latest gossip? The system watched from the side. In fact, it really wanted to say that it knew as much as Wei Sun when it came to gossip. But it was no longer the little system that didn't know anything. The great host wanted to hear Wei Sun gossip with her personally. Then it, the extra little system, could only silently hide in a corner and grieve. Forget it, forget it. It was better not to go out. If it went out, it would be stuffed with dog food again. It was better to go see the system's little brothers and listen to them cry about what those cheating hosts were doing again. Eunuch Wei, what's the new news? Wei Sun saw Tang Guo's curious expression and suddenly felt that it was worth it to wake up early. If it wasn't for the fact that it was too late last night, he would have come over at night. It's about the Crown Prince. Tang Guo guessed a little. Did the Crown Prince agree to the marriage? Princess is indeed clever. Last night, the Crown Prince told the Empress about this in a fit of pique. After the Emperor leaves court, the Empress will most likely tell the Emperor about this matter and let the Emperor issue a decree to grant the marriage. It's indeed good news. Eunuch Wei, can you operate this matter so that Meng Shirin doesn't know about it for the time being? Wei Sun's expression was strange, but he still said, it's not a problem to hide it for a few days. After a long time, everyone will know about the Crown Prince's marriage. Princess, you don't have to worry about this. With the lesson from last time, the Empress is very concerned about this. She will definitely ask someone to watch over Meng Shirin and not let her cause trouble. That's true. This time, in order to prevent the previous incident from happening again, the Crown Prince's marriage will most likely be brought up as soon as possible. Tang Guo could already imagine what kind of Azura field would happen in the palace. Speaking of which, she didn't do anything. She only needed to stay out of it and watch from the sidelines, and these people would start to stir up trouble themselves. In the original memory, there was a negative character like the original owner, which made them put all their effort in her. The later ups and downs were already built on their deep feelings and relationships, so it was not easy for them to break apart. Moreover, at that time, Meng Shirin was a well-behaved and kind girl, unlike now, who was like a calamity. Wherever she went, there would be a wave of trouble. After morning court, the Emperor heard the Empress's words and pretended to ask a few questions. Hearing the urgency in the Empress's voice, he said, "It has been hard on the Empress. Let's go and write the imperial edict with Zhen." The Empress wanted to hold the Crown Prince's wedding as soon as possible, and the Emperor agreed. He also felt that it was better to settle it as soon as possible so as to avoid any more trouble. The Empress felt relieved and followed the Emperor. After the imperial edict was written, the Emperor immediately sent someone to read it out. The candidate for the Crown Princess had been decided, and they were just waiting for the date to be chosen. With the help of the Empress, the wedding was set for half a month later. Those who knew were well aware, but they didn't dare to laugh. In the end, Meng Shirin still knew about the Crown Prince's marriage. When she found out, there were still 3 days before the wedding. The third prince couldn't wait for the Crown Prince to marry the Crown Princess, so he didn't persuade Meng Shirin to find her. The Peak. Chapter 4393. The third prince comforted her, "Shirin, the Crown Prince doesn't trust you. If he trusted you, he should have asked clearly. He doesn't understand what you endured for him that day. Such a person turned around and married another woman because of a misunderstanding. It can be seen that you are nothing in his heart." The third prince was actually very good at sowing discord. If he didn't do that, he wouldn't have had a chance. He could have restrained himself from touching Meng Shirin after he was drugged, but there was no reason why he couldn't get Meng Shirin to his side. The Crown Prince was going to marry the Crown Princess, which meant that he had given up on Shirin. Why couldn't he fight for himself? "Unfortunately, Shirin doesn't care about me. If it were me, I would only marry you, unlike the crown prince who hesitated and couldn't do anything. As long as I can marry you, even if I don't want to be a prince, I'm willing. The third prince's words moved Meng Shireen. Because of his gentlemanly behavior that day, Meng Shireen's impression of the third prince changed greatly. She thought that he was really a good person. Unfortunately, she didn't like him. If they met first, she would definitely like him. Seeing Meng Shireen's reaction, the third prince didn't force her, "Don't think too much. I just said it casually. The crown prince marrying the crown princess is a foregone conclusion. No one can change it. Don't be too sad. Forget about him. You will meet someone better in the future. The crown prince doesn't deserve you. After being together for so long, he doesn't trust you at all." Meng Shireen was a little dazed. Yes, why didn't he listen to me? He even hit the third prince and left. Does he know what I went through? Shireen, don't be sad. Not long after, the other princes and Princess Yunjin also came to comfort Meng Shireen. They all felt that the crown prince didn't trust Meng Shireen. Now that the crown prince was going to marry the crown princess and the imperial edict was announced, it couldn't be changed. Princess Yunjin even said that all the princes here were better than the crown prince. At least they could only marry Meng Shireen and give up the position of a prince. Under such persuasion, Meng Shireen was furious. Yes, so many people were on her side. They could understand what kind of person she was. Why didn't Tang Wenpan trust her at all? Meng Shireen, who had originally wanted to look for Tang Wenpan to question him, decided to just shut herself in and recuperate. The Empress didn't expect this result. Since Meng Shireen didn't come out to make trouble, she didn't have to do anything. The crown prince's wedding was held as scheduled. Although it was a little short, the necessary things were not lacking at all. It was still a grand occasion. That day, Meng Shireen sneaked into the city to watch. When the crown princess of the Baiguang kingdom was married, there was a custom of touring the city. It was to receive the blessings of thousands of people and seek good luck. Tang Wenpan happened to find her in the crowd. He was a little moved and wanted to run away from the marriage. But when she saw the third prince whispering something to Meng Shireen, she was so angry that she almost fell off her horse. Therefore, Tang Wenpan revealed a smile and pretended to happily marry the crown princess. Tang Guo was sitting on the second floor of the tea house. Seeing this scene, she was also very happy. The crown prince successfully married a concubine, but he did not consummate the marriage with the crown princess that night. Because Tang Wenpan regretted it. He also warned the crown princess to keep it a secret. This crown princess didn't seem to be someone to be trifled with. She wasn't angry at all and listened to Tang Wenpan like a little bird. It made him feel better and guilty to her. So, he temporarily let her take care of the courtyard's affairs. Tang Guo was already thinking about another matter, which was related to the zombie bug. Calculating the time, the Mount Jing guards had been sent to the border for several months. It was time to send some news back. The summit. Chapter 4394. Tang Guo sent a message to the paper puppets who were disguised as women in the army far away at the border. She told them to start taking action and report the matter of the zombie insects. After instructing them, she went to the palace to talk to Empress Dowager Qin. When Empress Dowager Qin heard this, she was very happy. So, I can go outside soon. That's great. It wasn't a good thing to let the school bell play cards with her all day. Since the school bell came to this world, she was busy every day. It seemed that she didn't stop. It wasn't convenient for her to show up temporarily. She said that she was taking care of the school bell, but in the end, it was the school bell who took care of her. After chatting with Empress Dowager Qin for a while, Tang Guo left the palace again. When she left the palace, she happened to see Princess Yunjin entering the palace. She still greeted her, but Princess Yunjin turned around and left. Tangua didn't care too much. She quietly watched as eldest Princess Yunjin courted her own death. It was said that she was close to the Empress recently. It seemed that it was because of Meng Shireen. It was a joke. Meng Shireen seemed to still be unable to forget the Crown Prince. She suddenly got close to the Empress because she wanted to ask about Tang Wenpan's recent situation. If Tang Wenpan saw her, he might ask about Meng Shireen's situation. She thought that the love between two young people would inevitably be a little twists and turns. They had to go through a lot in the middle before it could bear fruit. A few days later, Princess Yunjin's wish came true. Tang Wenpan really missed Meng Shireen. He couldn't forget Meng Shireen. Otherwise, he wouldn't regret not being able to consummate with the Crown Princess on the wedding night. He found an opportunity to secretly meet Princess Yunjin. Shireen has lost a lot of weight. I heard from the maid that she often sits in front of the window at night. It makes people feel sorry for her. She eats very little every day. If you really care about Shireen, go and see her. Isn't she very close to the third brother? Tang Wenpan didn't forget that day when he saw Meng Shireen and the third prince cuddling on the bed. Otherwise, why would he marry the Crown Princess? She was the one who started the relationship between them. Princess Yunjin said, "Crown Prince, you've misunderstood. There's nothing between Shireen and the third prince. It's like this." Eldest Princess Yunjin explained everything, saying that the two of them had been drugged. She didn't know why, but the people in the house couldn't be called that day. They couldn't even find a doctor. The door to their room was still locked. They did not do anything that crossed the line. Instead, they were restraining themselves. The third prince was protecting Meng Shireen. He was afraid that she would struggle and lose her clothes. When Tang Wenpan heard this, his mind seemed to explode. Was this the truth? Why didn't Shireen explain to him? No, it wasn't that Shireen didn't want to explain to him, it was that he didn't want to listen. How is Shireen now? Tang Wenpan was full of guilt. I'll leave the palace to see her. Princess Yunjin's tone wasn't very good. You've already married the Crown Princess. Shireen cares about this very much. What's the use of going out to see Shireen now? It's because you don't trust her that Shireen is so sad. It's all my fault. I'll apologize to Shireen right now. What happened after the apology? Can you still be with Shireen? Let's not talk about your identity first. Let's talk about your Crown Princess. Do you still want Shireen to be your concubine? I didn't consummate my marriage with the Crown Princess. I'll think of a way. When Princess Yunjin heard this, she was a little happy. She immediately thought that Tang Wenpan was an infatuated person. The Peak. Chapter 4395. So, after the two of them talked for a while, all the misunderstandings were cleared up. Now, Tang Wenpan and Meng Shireen met again. After explaining everything clearly, they are hugging each other and telling each other their hearts. Tang Guo couldn't help but yawn. It wasn't even dawn yet, and Wei Sun had already stuffed her with melons. How well did eunuch Wei know her? Why did he send her melons every day? Yes, they are already thinking about how to make Meng Shireen enter the emperor's eyes and return to the capital openly. After all, Meng Shireen's identity was a problem. It wasn't easy to be with Tang Wenpan. The imperial family was very familiar with Meng Shireen. This wasn't something that could be done simply by changing her identity. Unless Meng Shireen was a concubine and didn't appear in front of people. She didn't even have the qualifications to see the emperor and empress, so she wouldn't be noticed. Then, do they have any plans? It's not easy to clear her name and make uncle pay attention to her and absolve her of her crimes. Wei Sun coughed and looked a little speechless. They plan to arrange for an assassin to attack the emperor when he is out hunting, and then let Meng Shirin block the knife. As long as Meng Shirin saves the emperor, all her previous crimes should be absolved and she will be valued by the emperor. After speaking, Wei Sun looked at Tang Guo, as if waiting for a decision. In your dreams. This group of idiots. Hearing Tang Guo scolding people like this, Wei Sun also felt that this group of idiots did such disgusting things for the so-called love. Tang Wenpan was a crown prince, and he actually came up with such a rotten idea. As for Princess Yunjin, she actually agreed. She didn't worry about the safety of the emperor, her younger brother at all. What was wrong with her brain? For an outsider, she would do this. Uncle, when are you going to hunt? It's the autumn hunt in a while. At that time, some concubines in the palace will also go. The princes and princesses will definitely go, so the princess should also be arranged to go. That's good. With me, no matter how many assassins come, they will only die in the end. As for the people who inexplicably ran in, I'm sorry, but of course, I will drive them out. This group of people really dared to think that they could save the emperor. Then I'll stand with the princess, just in case. Tang Guo glanced at Wei Sun. Is eunuch Wei doubting my martial arts? I don't dare. I'm just afraid that the princess wants to hear stories. It's something new, and no one can tell you. Wei Sun really didn't dare. The princess's martial arts were strong, and even he couldn't beat her. He had seen with his own eyes the scene of the princess breaking a saber with her small hand. Eunuch Wei, after the autumn hunt, my men might return with news of the zombie worms. Tang Guo thought of this and told Wei Sun first. Wei Sun's expression turned serious. Got it. 10 days later, it was time for the annual autumn hunt. The emperor brought his family and officials to the royal hunting grounds to hunt. Tang Guo was also among them. She purposely walked closer to the emperor. Today, she planned to be wherever the emperor was so that those fake assassins would not have a chance. Wei Sun also followed closely behind Tang Guo. The emperor was amused when he saw this. He always felt that Wei Sun listened to his niece more. Perhaps, this was because it was easier for young people to communicate with each other. Tang Guo's status was special. She often caused trouble, and everything she did was very valiant. Many people were wondering why the emperor was not afraid of such a sharp-edged Princess Jingshan. The Summit. Chapter 4396. Even if she was a woman, giving her so much power, wasn't the emperor afraid? At least, in the eyes of outsiders, Princess Jingshan really had a lot of power. Even a person like Wei Sun could be used whenever she wanted. If the emperor knew their doubts, he would only laugh it off. After being the emperor for so many years, who had ambition and who didn't? Even if he couldn't see it, couldn't he feel it? If his niece had ambition, she would not let the Jingshan guards join the army with great fanfare, but hide it. She had never hidden anything about her influence. Many of the things she did seemed to deviate from the norm, but in fact, she had discussed it with him first. Speaking of which, Jingshan had become his blade. Doing those things would definitely be questioned, refuted, and even disgusted by many people. But Jingshan liked to do this. She seemed to be very interested in these things. Only she had no ambition. She was not interested in his position at all. He could feel it. Of course, he also felt that Jingshan didn't like the princes and the crown prince, and she was not close to the empress. On the contrary, Jingshan often visited the empress dowager. The emperor had to wonder if the empress was not as good as he imagined. Therefore, he no longer listened to the empress's words on the surface, but observed. Unlike in the past, he put down most of his guard on the Empress's side and carefully pondered what the other party said. After pondering, he understood why Jing Shan was not close to the Empress. The Empress's performance was too perfect, so perfect that it didn't seem like a real person. Some words seemed good, but after careful consideration, it was not the case. This discovery made the Emperor a little sad. The Empress Dowager had always disliked the Empress. Even when she was bestowed the marriage, the Empress Dowager said that the Empress was not suitable. This person was too self-centered, selfish, and only cared about her own interests. She was not suitable to be the mother of the world. Since the marriage was bestowed, they had no room to refute. They just told him to be careful. On a whim, the Emperor also asked someone to investigate the Empress's family. This investigation was also very serious. But he didn't say anything for the time being. This matter involved too much. It couldn't be solved in a short time. When he came back to his senses, the Emperor had already ridden a horse with a bow and ran to the mountain road ahead. His horse ran very fast, leaving the large army far behind in an instant. Tang Guo's horse was also very fast. Even if it was not fast, it would be very fast with a talisman. She was a little speechless. Did the Emperor like to leave everyone behind when he went hunting and did things by himself? Although her uncle's skills were not bad, he had encountered too many assassins. There was no way he could deal with them and he would definitely be injured. The Emperor realized that he hadn't shaken off everyone. He still had Mount Jing and Wei Sun by his side. What kind of horses are your horses? They are not slower than mine. The Emperor asked curiously. However, these two horses did not seem to be as good as his. The two of them answered respectively. The Emperor was even more curious. The variety was indeed not as good as his batch, but it was quite fast. Alright, since you've all caught up, let's go together. It just so happened that these were two people he trusted very much. Hunting with them should be a very pleasant thing. The Emperor also whispered to Tang Guo, Mount Jing, are you accurate with your archery? I'm fine, Tang Guo replied. The Emperor had a strange expression on his face, and the bow in his hand trembled. Was he all right? It was said that there was a legend among the people. Princess Jing Shan said that she knew a little, but in fact, she was proficient. What do you mean by that? It was probably very accurate. Vertex. Chapter 4397. Tang Guo didn't perform much today. Last time, the Mount Jing guards and the elite troops drill didn't give the Emperor uncle face. This time, she still had to give him face. The annual autumn hunt was not easy. Today, it should be her Emperor uncle who took the lead. As the Emperor, he rarely had such an opportunity to show his skills. The Emperor saw that Tang Guo rarely took action and his heart relaxed. He couldn't help but laugh. Why hasn't Mount Jing started yet? Uncle, you've already captured enough. Those rabbits and deer are so cute, I can't do it. Wei Sun, Princess, are you joking? The Emperor was amused and laughed. Then let's not shoot rabbits and deer. Let's shoot others. The others are not so cute. Wei Sun always felt that the Emperor robbed him of his lines. It doesn't matter. Uncle can shoot whatever he likes. When Mount Jing said it just now, I really think that rabbits and deer are cuter than other animals. Their appearance is really likable. They look very simple and docile. In the following journey, the Emperor really didn't shoot rabbits and deer. Tang Guo didn't expect that because of her words, her uncle would really give up on the deer and rabbits that he had the most. Instead, he went to hunt other animals with great effort. Wei Sun also didn't take action. He was the one responsible for carrying things. She didn't know if it was because of his good tone today, but the emperor encountered a lot of prey. His archery was very accurate. Almost all of them were caught by him and had no chance to escape. Wei Sun looked at the various prey hanging on the horse's back and felt that he couldn't shoot today. On the other side, Tang Wenpan met with several princes. Princess Jingshan and Wei Sun followed. Should we continue with our plan? Someone asked. The third prince, this is a rare opportunity. If we miss it this time, we don't know when the next time will be. However, it still depends on what the crown prince thinks. Meng Shireen was also in this place. When she heard this, she said, "Does Princess Jingshan know martial arts?" Eunuch Wei should know, the emperor knows, and if she doesn't know, she will actually be a burden. It shouldn't be. I haven't heard that she knows martial arts. Tang Wenpan, let's follow the original plan. Let Shireen gain the favor of Father Emperor as soon as possible. With the merit of saving the emperor, Shireen doesn't have to hide like this. Alright, I'll make the arrangements then. The third prince said that he couldn't bear to see Meng Shireen unhappy, so he could only help her do things that would benefit her. Most importantly, the crown prince was also very patient. He didn't consummate his marriage with the crown princess, which was enough to prove that his feelings for Shireen were also true. Now that he had married a crown prince consort who had not consummated their marriage, it was not necessarily a bad thing. At least, no one would force him to marry again. In fact, he had another idea in his mind. After Shireen was exonerated, he would find an opportunity to enter the crown prince's palace. Even if he was temporarily a concubine, he would have children in the future. When the crown prince ascended the throne and conferred the title of empress, that was also possible. The crown prince's ascension to the throne meant that he was the emperor. He had the greatest authority, and no one else could do anything about it. When the third prince thought of this, his eyes gradually dimmed. If Shireen liked him, he would fight for this position no matter what. After some discussion, they proceeded according to the original plan. On this side, the emperor hunted a lot of prey and went deeper and deeper. Dear host, a group of people is gradually approaching. Got it. Tang Guo became vigilant. Her hand was already on the hilt of her sword. In a moment, she would let these people have a good look at the consequences of assassinating her. Vertex. Chapter 4398. Dog Emperor. Give me your life. The sudden loud shout indeed gave the emperor a big fright. When he saw clearly, he saw a group of black-clothed men in the distance. He didn't panic. Instead, he quickly drew his bow and shot an arrow at the black-clothed man. In the blink of an eye, the arrow pierced the throat of a black-clothed man. The black-clothed man was also stunned. He didn't expect the emperor to be so powerful. He directly shot an arrow at the throat. However, this was their mission. It was very likely that they would die after this. After all, they were trained death warriors. They still didn't care about their lives and rushed towards the emperor. There were many black-clothed men. Wei Sun jumped off his horse first and held a knife to stop the black-clothed men. However, there were too many people and he couldn't stop them alone. There were still many who rushed to Tang Guo and the emperor's side aggressively. Meng Shireen was observing in the dark. When the black-clothed men attacked the emperor, she would block the knife. The third prince had already arranged everything. When the black-clothed men saw her, they would show mercy. At most, they would injure her, but it wouldn't be fatal. In fact, she was quite afraid. However, in order to save the emperor, she could only grit her teeth and do this. Tang Guo pulled out her long sword and jumped off her horse to deal with the black-clothed men. Meng Shireen felt that Tang Guo was overestimating herself. Unexpectedly, the black-clothed man who fiercely pounced on Tang Guo was killed by her sword. Meng Shirin was stunned. Tang Guo felt that these black-clothed men were very hostile to her, as if they wanted to take her life. She was happy. In addition to helping Meng Shirin, those people also added other orders at the last minute. Was it to take her life? She hadn't even settled the score yet, but they were very anxious. There was no hurry. One by one, they would all die in the hands of the person they loved the most. Was it cruel? She didn't think so. Didn't they deserve this? Tang Guo blocked many of the black-clothed men's attacks, but there were still some who rushed towards the emperor. The emperor still had some martial arts skills. Tang Guo actually divided half of her attention to pay attention to that side. If she wanted Meng Shirin to save the emperor, she must create an opportunity. Meng Shirin was also very nervous. Seeing Tang Guo kill the black-clothed man indifferently, she felt a little scared and uneasy. But when she saw a black-clothed man attacking the emperor from behind, she gritted her teeth and quickly rushed out. Tang Guo also noticed it. She turned around and leaped back. When the black-clothed man was about to approach the emperor, she chopped off his head. The black-clothed man even pretended to run. Meng Shirin just happened to rush over. Seeing the cruel scene in front of her, she screamed in fright. She seemed to have lost her mind, but she still kept running forward. Seeing that she was about to reach the emperor, Tang Guo bluntly kicked her back into the bushes. Don't you see that there are many assassins here? He even dared to run around. Wei Sun noticed this scene, and the corner of his mouth twitched. Princess Jingshan was really a vengeful person. However, he felt that the kick just now was perfect. Meng Shirin was kicked and fell into the grass. Her heart was in great pain. She even spat out a mouthful of blood. She couldn't get up for the time being. This was different from their plan. Why was Princess Jingshan's martial arts so strong? Princess Royal Yunzhen had always said that she was not worse than Princess Jingshan. She was more like her daughter. However, although she knew the four arts, she really only knew a little bit. She was not like Princess Jingshan, who could be admired by all the scholars in the world. Nowadays, Princess Jingshan's poems and paintings were widely circulated. If there was an authentic work, it would definitely be priceless. Not only that, but Princess Jingshan also had such strong martial arts. How could Princess Royal Yunzhen think that she was better than Princess Jingshan? She wanted to get up and leave, but she couldn't move. She was very flustered. Especially when she heard the sound of horse hooves coming one after another, she became even more flustered. There is still a person of unknown origin in the bushes over there. Go and see if he is dead. Just now, I was afraid that he would hurt Uncle, so I kicked him in a hurry. Tang Guo was wiping the blood-stained sword in her hand. She said to Tang Wenpan and others with a smile. Seeing their complexions, she was in a good mood. The summit. Chapter 43-99. Tang Wenpan and the others were looking for Meng Shirin. They already had a bad feeling when they didn't see her at the scene. When Tang Guo said this, their faces changed on the spot. They forgot the current situation and quickly ran to the bush that Tang Guo mentioned. But at this moment, most people's eyes were gathered on the emperor and didn't notice them. Naturally, only a few people found their behavior a little strange. Tang Guo didn't want to delve into it. No matter what, her uncle was still the emperor. No matter how bad the relationship between the crown prince and the other princes was, she couldn't talk about them in front of him. This would only make him feel disgusted. He could see a lot of things. Under such circumstances, the crown prince and the princes who fell out of favor had no chance to make a comeback. After all, there were only a few emperors who didn't imagine things. Of course, the things they imagined were more convincing. Tang Wenpan and the others found Meng Shirin and carefully carried her up. Looking at Meng Shirin's dying appearance, their hearts were full of anger. "She's too much," Tang Wenpan whispered. The third prince pulled Tang Wenpan. In a hurry, she wanted to protect father. This reaction is normal. We underestimated her martial arts. If it were anyone else, they would have succeeded. Is that what you're saying? Shirin is injured like this and you still speak for an outsider. Moreover, you speak for the person who hurt Shirin. Tang Wenpan said irrationally. He was extremely displeased with the third prince. The third prince didn't get angry. "You're so nervous. Do you want people to suspect something? I naturally don't like the person who hurt Shirin. What's the use of being angry at this time? Your Highness, now you should think about how to get Shirin out of trouble." The third prince sneered. "Fortunately, this is not within the capital. Otherwise, Shirin wouldn't be able to explain herself. In my opinion, when Shirin recovers, you arrange someone to inform her that she came to the forest alone to relax. She didn't expect to get lost and suddenly encountered the scene before. She was scared silly." "Okay." Tang Wenpan also calmed down. Now the most important thing was to help Meng Shirin out of trouble. Meng Shirin was not completely unconscious, but Tang Guo's kick was so painful that she did not want to open her eyes at all. Little did she know that Tang Guo's kick had not used any internal energy. It was just a normal kick. Otherwise, with Meng Shirin's physique, she would definitely die on the spot from her kick that was infused with internal energy. "Crown Prince, is the person in the grass still breathing?" Tang Guo's voice came from afar, almost making Tang Wenpan faint from anger. Tang Guo went to observe eldest Princess Yunjin. She did have a worried and nervous look on her face, but she didn't rush to see Meng Shirin. It could be seen that eldest Princess Yunjin still had a clear distinction. If she went over, it would be easy to cause trouble. It should be said that she was afraid that he would be implicated in the assassination of the emperor. Tang Guo and the others had taken care of quite a few of the assassins earlier. The rest had already committed suicide when they saw that they were no match for them. Tang Guo could have stopped these assassins from committing suicide, but she did. In the end, it was better not to stop them. These assassins were arranged by the third prince. When the time came, the third prince would be the one to be punished. This would also alert the enemy. Without the third prince, how could Tang Wenpan, the crown prince, be trapped? She could see that the third prince's existence must be an obstacle between Tang Wenpan and Meng Shirin. Chapter 4400. As long as he was here, these two people would definitely cause all kinds of trouble. Therefore, it was better to keep her alive. However, her uncle, the emperor, would probably suspect something about this matter. Being suspected by the emperor was something she wanted to see. After Tang Guo's words, everyone's eyes fell on Tang Wenpan. He had no choice but to carry the person out. When everyone saw that action, they felt that it was very strange. A dignified crown prince actually went to carry a person of unknown origin. Judging from her clothes, she should be a woman, right? Could it be that this woman was so beautiful that she instantly bewitched the crown prince? The empress' expression was not very good. She felt that something was out of her expectations. The emperor's expression was also a bit strange. Was this the crown prince that he once thought was very outstanding? He was actually so careful to carry a person who might be an assassin of unknown origin. What was with that distressed expression? Who could tell him what his crown prince had done wrong? He could not see through his actions in the past few years. Tang Wenpan hated Tang Guo to the core. He did not like her before, and now he hated her even more. Imperial father, it's all a misunderstanding. Tang Wenpan walked in front of the emperor and lowered his voice. This is Shireen. She was probably frightened at that time. Shireen doesn't know martial arts. She definitely can't be in cahoots with those assassins. Tangua did not say anything. She was observing the emperor and found that there was indeed a flash of deep thought on his face. It seemed that he was suspecting something. As the emperor, he did not believe that today's matter was a coincidence. 89 Literature website. Tangua and Wei Sun did not say anything, but the empress spoke first. Then why is Meng Shireen here? Doesn't she know that this is the royal hunting ground and that trespassing is not allowed? She was really pissed off. Why was Meng Shireen everywhere she went? She was haunting her. If this continued, she was really afraid that the crown prince's position would be affected. The emperor's attitude was becoming more and more unpredictable. The rest of the people also looked at Meng Shireen in Tang Wenpan's arms. They felt very strange and felt that something was wrong. They had not forgotten the relationship between Meng Shireen and the crown prince. Tang Wenpan said, "We'll have to wait until Shireen wakes up to know. She's seriously injured and needs to see a doctor." As he spoke, he couldn't help but glance at Tangua, as if to tell everyone that Meng Shireen's injuries were all her fault. This time, everyone was even more speechless. Was the crown prince blaming Princess Jingshan? What was wrong with Princess Jingshan? When the emperor was in danger, wouldn't anyone's reaction be to kill the person who suddenly barged in? Perhaps because the other party was not a black-shirt man, Princess Jingshan was merciful. She directly kicked the person out and did not directly take his life. It could be seen that Princess Jingshan was rational and benevolent. The current Tangua was admired by many ministers. This Princess Jingshan was doing the truth, but it had nothing to do with their interests. She was not greedy for power, did not participate in any forces, and did not participate in court politics. How could people not like her? The emperor was also unhappy, so he said coldly, "Take him away first and ask a doctor to check on his injuries. If he can wake up, then we'll interrogate him." The guards took Meng Shireen away from Tang Wenpan's hands. Encountering his resistance, they were unwilling to let go. This scene made the empress pull her handkerchief angrily. "Crown Prince. I'll send her over." Tang Wenpan was very stubborn, and the empress had no choice. The summit. Chapter 4401. The emperor ignored it. Sure enough, he was right. The crown prince was not suitable for this position. This time, the empress saw that the emperor was dissatisfied. She was anxious and hated Meng Shireen. Everyone saw Tang Wenpan's joke. They knew it in their hearts, but they didn't say anything. When they saw the emperor's attitude, they suddenly understood that the emperor was dissatisfied with this crown prince. The autumn hunt ended early because of this accident. Because of Tang Wenpan, Meng Shireen was well taken care of. After waking up, when she was interrogated, she said what the third prince taught her. She said that she went to the mountains to relax. She didn't expect to get lost. Suddenly, she saw a fight in front of her. She found that it was the emperor and others, so she rushed over without thinking. The last sentence was added by Meng Shireen privately. She felt that it was unrealistic to take the initiative to rush up when she saw an assassin. After all, if there was danger, everyone would hide or run away first, instead of rushing over stupidly. If she found a familiar person, it was normal to rush over nervously. Meng Shireen's words made the crown prince and others very satisfied. They felt that she was worthy of being the person they liked. After this speech, even if someone was dissatisfied with her, the emperor would not punish her. In fact, the emperor still had a group in his heart. How could it be so coincidental? There must be something he didn't know. His first suspicion was whether Meng Shirin came here to have a rendezvous with Tang Wenpan. As for the several people colluding to assassinate him and create an opportunity for Meng Shirin to save the emperor, he would never think of this. Meng Shirin was pashed, but the crown prince's image was also damaged a lot. At least in the hearts of the civil and military officials, they were not so satisfied with this crown prince. They all held an attitude of observation. Meng Shirin was once again sent out of the capital. Naturally, it was on the surface. Within a few days, she returned to the house in the capital. She was still very uncomfortable and was currently recuperating. She still felt that Tang Guo's kick was a nightmare. Because of this incident, Tang Wenpan and others were very disgusted with Tang Guo. Unfortunately, the current princess of Mount Jing was not someone they could do whatever they wanted. Shirin, I will help you avenge this kick. Tang Wenpan said that when he became the emperor, the princess of Mount Jing should obediently stay in the princess mansion and not come out to show her face and make a fool of herself. The third prince didn't say much, although reason told him that Princess Jing Shan was merciful in this matter. However, Meng Shirin was more important, so she didn't stop Tang Wenpan from avenging her. The opportunity we waited so long for is gone. What should we do now? Someone asked. Tang Wenpan, let Shirin recover first, this matter can't be rushed for the time being. I don't think this matter can be used on Imperial Father. Now that Imperial Father is out of the palace, no matter where he goes, he takes Princess Jing Shan with him. Shirin can't succeed. Moreover, Shirin has shown up this time. If the same thing happens next time, even if Shirin helps Imperial Father block the blade, she will still be suspected. Perhaps they will even associate it with the assassination incident during the autumn hunt. At that time, it's hard to avoid people guessing something. The third prince analyzed. You won't have the chance to take credit for saving the emperor. Tang Wenpan's expression wasn't good. Indeed, it's all because of that meddlesome Princess Jing Shan. She hid it really well. Her martial arts are so strong, but she didn't leak any information. Vertex. Chapter 4402. Such a dangerous person, I don't know how Imperial Father can feel at ease keeping her by his side. You know, she didn't grow up in the palace, but outside. She also mingled with those crooks and honest people. Several people ridiculed Princess Jing Shan for a while, then they began to discuss what to do after Meng Shirin's injury healed. Between lightning and thunder, Tang Wenpan thought of an idea. Why do we have to take credit for saving her? If we don't plan well, we will lose more. As he spoke, he looked at eldest Princess Yunjin. If Shirin saves Aunt Yunjin, she can also make a contribution. Aunt Yunjin may even take this opportunity to take Shirin as her goddaughter. Cousins couldn't get married, but it was ultimately a matter of blood relations. There was no such restriction for a goddamn cousin. Is this possible? Eldest Princess Yunjin was a little nervous. If this was the case, she was more willing, but she didn't know if it would work. The third prince pondered for a while. It can work, as long as we operate it, it will work. How do we operate it? Eldest Princess Yunjin thought that Meng Shirin would be her daughter in the future, so she attached great importance to this matter. The third prince said, while Shirin is recovering, we can start now. On this day, just at dawn, Wei Sun sent melons to Tang Guo. Eldest Princess Yunjin fell. Tang Guo was a little confused. Wherever she goes, there are carriages and palanquins. The place where she can step must be flat and unimpeded. It seems that this fall is not simple. Otherwise, Eunuch Wei would not have come to inform me of this early in the morning. It's fake. Wei Sun took a sip of tea and whispered, most likely, she is planning something. We will see the result in a few days. However, the princess may have to visit her in a while, right? I have to go and see. I still have to do some face work. I can see what's going on with her. I guess if it's fake, it has something to do with Meng Shireen. At dawn, Tang Guo was informed that eldest Princess Yunjin had fallen and injured, so she took people to visit her. Eldest Princess Yunjin naturally ignored her. Tang Guo was not angry. After visiting, she left. The etiquette ended here. As for eldest Princess Yunjin's attitude, there would naturally be people who would help her spread the news. The other party probably hadn't been scolded enough by those scholars. Princess Yunjin had just recovered from her injuries for 2 days when something happened again. She seemed to have sprained her waist. When his waist was healed, all kinds of unlucky things happened again. There were rumors in the capital that eldest Princess Yunjin had bad luck. She was afraid that she would bring bad luck to the people in the palace, so she had not entered the palace for a long time. The emperor rewarded him with many things, but he did not deliberately investigate this matter. After all, it was all an accident. After all, he had to worry about national affairs every day. How could he have the time to think about these small problems? Naturally, he didn't think that this was all part of the crown prince's plan. Princess Yunjin continued to have bad luck. After all the injuries on her body were healed, she decided to go to the temple to ask the master. The next day, everyone in the capital knew that after the master divined for Princess Yunjin, he said that she was so unlucky because her fortune was weak. If there was no one with great fortune to help her, she might have been so unlucky for the rest of her life. Many people didn't believe it, but seeing Princess Yunjin's bad luck, they were quite puzzled and couldn't help but believe it. Mount Jing, what do you think of this matter? The emperor finally attached some importance to this matter. Doesn't that mean that I am not a person with great fortune? Even I can't suppress the bad luck. The peak. Chapter 4403. Mount Jing also doesn't know about this matter. Of course, Tang Guo could only say that she didn't know. This matter was strange to outsiders. The emperor frowned. I always feel that this matter is strange, but many things can't be explained. Is there really something dirty? Tang Guo only expressed her confusion about this matter and didn't say too much. The emperor heard that eldest Princess Yunjin often went to the temple and occasionally had some small problems. He gradually got used to it and didn't seem to cause any trouble, so he put this matter behind his mind. It wasn't until eldest Princess Yunjin encountered an assassin on the way back and was injured and almost died that the emperor's attention was attracted again. This time, the emperor hurriedly left the palace and went to the princess mansion to see eldest Princess Yunjin. He suddenly found that there was a familiar person standing next to eldest Princess Yunjin. Who else could it be but Meng Shireen? Tang Guo also rushed over. After knowing that Meng Shireen saved eldest Princess Yunjin's life, she understood everything. It turned out that they were planning this. For Meng Shireen, her mother was really willing to go all out. Sure enough, after eldest Princess Yunjin woke up, she said that she wanted to accept Meng Shireen as her goddaughter. She also said that she was guided in a dream and Meng Shireen was her lucky star. This kind of strange thing, the emperor had no choice but to agree. But before that, he asked for Tang Guo's opinion. Tang Guo, since Miss Meng is mother's lucky star, then let's do as mother wishes. That's fine, I won't care about this matter. As for wanting him to give Meng Shireen an identity, that was just a dream. She was still dreaming. Seeing that the emperor didn't give in, eldest Princess Yunjin could only shrink back, fearing that she wouldn't be able to accept her as her goddaughter. Therefore, Meng Shireen became eldest Princess Yunjin's goddaughter. Because without the emperor's golden mouth and jade words, she couldn't be considered a real member of the royal family. She didn't even have the identity of a princess. When she went out, she was only called Miss Mang. Eldest Princess Yunjin didn't realize that everyone was looking at her as if they were looking at a fool. 17 Was there really such a strange thing? Everyone felt that there must be something hidden in this matter. Even the emperor seemed to have realized something. He no longer wanted to pay attention to eldest Princess Yunjin. Whenever he thought of her, he would feel that his IQ would also be lowered. The Empress was unhappy. She finally couldn't tolerate Meng Shireen. Mama, you should find a way to kill Meng Shireen. Now there is a good excuse to shift the blame to Mount Jing. With this reason, everyone will think that Mount Jing is dissatisfied with Meng Shireen, and the Crown Prince will not resent me. Nyang Nyang, you have to think clearly. It's not a good thing to get involved with Princess Jing Shan. The old mama didn't quite agree. Nanny, this little vixen Meng Shireen is too good at causing trouble. Look at how bad the Crown Prince has become because of her. If this continues, I'm afraid I won't be able to keep my position as the Crown Prince. Since your Highness has decided, this old servant will do as you say. The Empress originally wanted to kill Meng Shireen and blame it on Tanghua, but she didn't know that Tanghua had always arranged for Tong Zi to monitor her. But when Meng Shireen was poisoned and Tang Wenpan stormed into the palace to question the Empress, she still hadn't reacted. Empress Mother, why did you do that? Can't you tolerate Shireen? Shireen didn't do anything bad. Her status is just a little low. Why do you look down on her so much? Do you want her life? The Empress also explained, but she didn't expect Tang Wenpan to come up with evidence. At that moment, she understood that she had fallen into Princess Jing Shan's trap. Mo was right. She shouldn't have provoked Mount Jing. Fortunately, Meng Shireen's protagonist aura was still there. Even if she was poisoned, she could still be saved. After Tang Wenpan and the Empress had a big quarrel, she left in a hurry. Nanny, I shouldn't have taken this step. I didn't expect Mount Jing to be so scheming. She is not simple. The nanny shook her head. This old servant didn't do things well. Now your Highness really can't compete with Princess Jing Shan anymore. At least before the Crown Prince ascends the throne, you can't provoke him. The Empress gritted her teeth. It's all because of Meng Shireen, that little bitch. However, before the Empress could breathe a sigh of relief, she heard that Tang Guo hurried into the palace to see the Emperor. The Empress hurriedly inquired about the news. She thought that Tang Guo was complaining, but she didn't expect it to be more serious than complaining. Nanny, you mean, Mount Jing has a way to cure the Empress Dowager's illness? The Empress's face was pale, and she almost lost her voice. How is it possible? The summit. Chapter 4404. Mama, did you really inquire clearly that Jing Shan said she can cure the Empress Dowager's illness? The Empress's brain was about to explode. Before she moved to the capital of Axian country, she humiliated the Empress Dowager. The other party was a living dead person, and there was no evidence. Naturally, there was no way to take revenge. However, once the Empress Dowager stood up again, even if there was no evidence of the past, she would definitely not let her go. The Empress Dowager was not a simple person. Instead, she was very scheming. She would definitely think of a way to make her life difficult. Yes, Nyang Nyang, you didn't hear it wrong. Princess Jing Shan did say that there is a way to cure the Empress Dowager's illness. The old mama's face was gloomy. Once the Empress Dowager recovers, it will be a big trouble for Nyang Nyang. Then what should I do? The Empress was anxious like an ant on a hot pan. She was very flustered. Her face, which originally looked kind, was a little distorted because of nervousness. Does that Jing Shan have a grudge against me? Since she came back, she has always done all kinds of things. No wonder Yunjin doesn't like her. The Empress, who couldn't think of a way for the time being, could only blame this matter on the meddlesome Tanghua. If Nyang wants to escape this disaster, there is only one way. The old mama narrowed her eyes. Perhaps, this can be used to remove the obstacle of Princess Jingshan. This old slave has long wanted to say that Princess Jingshan is not easy to provoke. Her status is actually an obstacle to Nyang. If this can be used to make Princess Jingshan bear the crime of killing the Empress Dowager, even if she is liked by the Emperor, she can't do anything in the future. Even if she doesn't die, she won't have so much power. When the Empress heard this, she calmed down. Her somewhat flustered face was also calm. She asked in a low voice, "Mama means to use this to get rid of the Empress Dowager?" Yes, only by getting rid of the Empress Dowager, the matter of Nyang harming the Empress Dowager will be buried in the ground. No one will ever know. The dead can't talk. At that time, Nyang will be truly relieved. With the Emperor's attention to the Empress Dowager, this matter is not easy to do. The Empress was obviously tempted. However, it's not impossible to use the forces in the dark, but this matter must be done cleanly. How can we make the Empress Dowager die immediately? Of course it's poison, the most vicious poison. The old mama's voice was gloomy. Not yet. You have to wait until Princess Jingshan treats the Empress Dowager. At that time, this matter can be blamed on her. At that time, she won't be able to defend herself. Just wait for the Emperor's anger. Then I'll leave it to you to find the poison. The Empress's voice was getting colder and colder. I wanted her to live longer, but Mount Jing didn't want her to live. Don't blame me if she dies. It's Mount Jing who should be blamed. If Mount Jing didn't meddle in other people's business, how could she die? After the Emperor was dismissed, he heard someone report that Tanghua had something important to discuss with him. It was about the Empress Dowager's illness. The Emperor hurriedly came to see Tanghua. When he heard that Tanghua could cure the Empress Dowager's illness, he was completely happy after being surprised. After confirming that Tanghua was not joking, he quickly asked what he should do. After Tanghua explained the method, the Emperor didn't expect things to be so simple. For so many years, they all thought that this disease was incurable, and countless doctors were stumped. He didn't know how Mount Jing thought of the method and where she saw it. The Emperor had a lot of doubts in his heart. The Summit. Chapter 4405. Jingshan is still knowledgeable. Now that the Empress Dowager can recover, you are the real lucky star, but... The Emperor said regretfully and did not continue. However, how could his imperial sister not tolerate Jingshan? Instead, she mingled with that wild girl all day long and treated that wild girl as her own daughter. She was seen as a joke by countless people. Speaking of this, the Emperor asked Tanghua how she came up with this idea. Tanghua told the truth about the zombie bugs, saying that the Mount Jing guards who went to the border to join the army accidentally found the existence of zombie bugs in the local area. Because she often went to the palace to visit the Empress Dowager, she also asked about her illness. She paid more attention to this aspect and privately looked for a cure. The Mount Jing guards were more concerned about this, so they specially arranged people to inquire about this from the locals. So, the characteristics of the zombie bugs and the symptoms if someone was bitten by the zombie bugs were exactly the same as the Empress Dowager. They asked the locals how to solve it, and then hurried back with the news. In fact, the locals are rarely bitten by the zombie bugs. Occasionally, they are bitten, but it is a very common thing. It can be solved by simply getting chicken blood. The places where the zombie bugs live are the extremely cold places, and the second is the flesh of the human body. The Emperor fell into contemplation. Tanghua knew that he was imagining things again, so she did not disturb him. Mount Jing is saying that the zombie bugs are actually an ordinary thing in the eyes of the people in the border. And almost the local people know that it is already a common thing, so they rarely talk about it. Because the zombie bugs are just like ordinary poisonous bugs to them. It is not rare, so there is nothing to talk about. Therefore, if the outsiders did not inquire carefully and wandered around, they would not know the existence of the zombie bugs. Mount Jing just said that the environment where the zombie bugs live is mainly cold places. Yes. The emperor asked indifferently, the Baiguang country has 4 seasons. The winter will be too cold, so the zombie bugs should not live. The Empress Dowager has never been to a cold place. She is most afraid of the cold and does not like bumps. How can she come into contact with the zombie bugs? It seems that someone harmed the Empress Dowager. Tang Guo did not say anything, waiting for the emperor to fill in the blanks. If she spoke, it would be superfluous. In less than a year, the insignificant Mount Tranquil guards were able to discover the existence of zombie worms. Furthermore, they asked about the situation and even linked it to the Empress Dowager's illness. The emperor paused for a moment before continuing, why is it that General Li has been at the border for so many years, yet he hasn't sent back any news at all? So, General Li has lived at the border for so many years, yet he doesn't know about the existence of zombie worms at all? Ordinary soldiers definitely don't know what illness the Empress Dowager has, but General Li should be very clear about it. The emperor continued to analyze. He once saw the Empress Dowager and asked about her illness. The Empress Dowager's illness was declared to be a strange illness to the outside world. There was no mention of the various symptoms of her body. Therefore, it was normal for ordinary soldiers not to know. Even some of the palace maids and eunuchs in the palace only knew that the Empress Dowager was sick and thought that she was paralyzed by a stroke. General Li also ordered people to deliver a lot of local specialties to me. The emperor's last sentence was undoubtedly to confirm that General Li was a suspect. Who was General Li? He was the empress's brother. It was hard not to think that this matter had something to do with the empress. If it was a few years ago, the emperor would definitely shake his head and say that it couldn't be the empress. After a few years of observation, he understood that no one in the palace was as they appeared to be. Especially the empress. Did the empress really harm the Empress Dowager? The apex. Chapter 4406. Jingshan, go and prepare to treat the Empress Dowager. I'm going to see the Empress Dowager. The emperor decided to ask the Empress Dowager. Maybe she knew something. The reason why she didn't say it was probably because she didn't have any evidence and didn't know how to say it. Tang Guo returned to the princess mansion and communicated with the Empress Dowager. She felt that the conversation over there should be almost over. Sure enough, after a while, the Empress Dowager replied. Empress Dowager Qin, the emperor asked me if I knew about my condition. He should be suspecting the empress. Since he asked, I took advantage of this time to tell him about it. School bell, what was his reaction? Empress Dowager Qin, of course he was very angry. If the floor of my bedroom wasn't hard, it might have been trampled by him. He said he would give me justice, but now is not the time. There are many problems with the Empress family. This matter is not a small matter, and it will involve a lot of people. School bell, it should be to investigate the evidence. Our plan will go on as usual. It won't affect it. The Empress is ready to kill you. Empress Dowager Qin, it feels so difficult to bathe in chicken blood again. Margaret, I used to hear the school bell tell stories. She said that the Empress Dowager in some TV series liked to bathe in blood, but that was the blood of an 18-year-old young girl. It was used to maintain her youth and beauty. Empress Dowager Qin, Margaret, your taste has always been very unique. You can remember such a disgusting story clearly and share it. The emperor was very angry when he heard what the Empress Dowager said. He didn't expect that the Empress was like this in a place he didn't know. If it was a few years ago, he would have thought that the Empress Dowager might be seriously ill. The Empress was such a good person. How could she treat the Empress Dowager like that? In addition, the Empress Dowager had always had a little opinion of the Empress Dowager. Everyone would think that the Empress Dowager's personality became strange because she was sick. After all, the Empress did it very cleanly and didn't leave any evidence. However, now he knew about the zombie bug first, and the Empress family, and generally never mentioned the zombie bug to him. He had to arrange for someone to investigate these things clearly. Naturally, the person who ran this errand could only be Wei Sun. Wei Sun wasn't surprised at all when he received this task, but he didn't expect it to be so fast. However, there was no conflict. He would present all the evidence to the emperor and let him see what kind of person the benevolent empress was. On the other hand, Tang Guo was also preparing chicken blood for the Empress Dowager to solve the zombie bug problem. The chicken blood had been prepared and was waiting for the palace maid to help the Empress Dowager into the bathtub. Tang Guo knew that one of the maids was the Empress's maid. She would put some poison in the bathtub later. The Empress Dowager felt that she had been wronged. She actually had to soak in chicken blood 3 times. Just thinking about the taste made her very uncomfortable. Tang Guo could tell that the palace maid was a little nervous. When several palace maids were about to help the Empress Dowager into the bathtub, she suddenly stopped them and said to the chicken blood in the bathtub, "Why do I feel that there is something wrong with the taste of this chicken blood?" As soon as she finished speaking, the palace maid's expression changed subconsciously. It was so obvious that Tang Guo should have noticed it. Her eyes fell on the palace maid's face. "You look very nervous. Do you know what chicken blood is?" "I don't know." The palace maid quickly calmed down and answered in a low voice. "Vertex." Chapter 4407. Tang Guo pointed out the palace maid, "It's my negligence. Even if it's chicken blood, someone must test the medicine for the Empress Dowager first, so as not to have a bad situation." Tang Guo took out a dagger and handed it to the palace maid in front of her. "Cut your palm and immerse your hand in the bathtub." When Tang Guo's words fell, the palace maid was so scared that her face turned pale, and her body kept trembling. If the poison touched the wound, she would be poisoned to death. But she had to do it, because her family was in the hands of the Empress. If she did anything unfavorable to the Empress, her family would all die. "You don't dare." Tang Guo took 2 steps closer. "Are you worried about the life of your family?" The palace maid was shocked and looked at Tang Guo inconceivably. Her eyes widened. "How did Princess Jingshan know?" "Your family is very safe. You just need to tell me honestly what's going on." Tang Guo also took out a token, which belonged to the palace maid's family. Since she was going to do these things, of course, she had been prepared for a long time. She was just waiting to overthrow the Empress. She had to overthrow the Empress openly, so that the Empress would not be unlucky and would have a good reputation. This slave will say it now. When she saw the token, she knew it was her little nephew's. She couldn't be mistaken. She bought it for her little nephew, personally. The person who ordered the palace maid was the old mama. When Tang Guo heard it, she felt that the old mama should be the person who instructed the Empress. Maybe in a while, the old mama would put all the blame on her. But it didn't matter. She was already prepared. Even the old mama couldn't protect the Empress. The Empress Dowager's chicken blood for treatment was poisoned. The emperor hurried over and asked someone to throw a mouse in. After a while, the mouse's body stiffened and died. The palace maid pointed out that it was the old mama beside the empress who ordered her to do so. She also said that her family was also threatened. When the empress and the old mama were called, they thought that the empress dowager was dead. They didn't expect that things were exposed. "Mama, what should I do?" Looking at the situation, that cheap girl identified me. The old mama was much calmer than the empress. She whispered, "Nyang Nyang, just say that you don't know anything. Leave everything to this old slave." The palace maid stated her previous words in front of everyone. The emperor looked at the empress and asked if the other party had anything else to say. The empress wiped her tears according to the old mama's instructions. "Emperor, this concubine doesn't know anything. How can this concubine harm the empress dowager? It must be this palace maid's nonsense." The emperor was unmoved. She is just an ordinary palace maid. How could she have the ability to find such a poisonous medicine? How could she be so bold? "I heard that the lives of her family members are in your hands." While the emperor was questioning her and begging the empress for mercy, claiming that she was innocent, the old nanny suddenly spoke. Everything was done by this old servant. Sure enough, the old lady's words made the scene quiet down for a while. Everyone's eyes fell on her. They didn't expect to be exposed here. The emperor asked her why she did this. The old mama replied, "This old slave is bold. I regard the empress as my daughter, so I want to get rid of anyone who oppresses her." Chapter 4408. The person who harmed the empress dowager is also this old slave. This old slave is afraid that the empress dowager will bully the empress when she recovers. The empress doesn't know about these things. This old slave only made the decision. The empress was stunned. She was a little shocked. She looked at the old mama's stooped back. She couldn't bear it. But now she could only sacrifice the old mama to protect herself. "Is that so?" Tangua interjected. "Sure enough, the mother-daughter relationship is deep. The empress is really lucky to have such a mother." Tangua's words once again surprised the people present. What does this mean?" The amount of information was too much, and they couldn't react. Next, it was time for Tangua to perform. She took out the evidence she had investigated and proved that this old mama was the empress's mother, and the empress was not the mother of the Li family. She was the close maidservant of the Li family's mother, that is, this old mama gave birth to her. All this was an accident, and the Li family had no daughters. It just happened that the empress's daughter was recorded in the name of the Li family's mother. From the beginning, they planned to send this daughter to the palace. The empress's biological mother, of course, was not at ease. She planned to follow her into the palace and help her plan. "You said that the empress doesn't know, that's not right. She knows no less than you." Tangua ordered people to catch the palace maids in the empress's palace, as well as some who had helped her do bad things. She was not afraid of doing this, which would arouse the emperor's attention. After all, she did it according to Empress Dowager Chen's instructions. It didn't seem strange that Empress Dowager Chen had some power in the harem, right? With all the evidence in front of them, the old mama and the empress couldn't quibble. The emperor was furious and sent the old mama to prison on the spot, while the empress was locked in the palace and forbidden to go out. After all, she was the empress, which was more troublesome to deal with. After that, Empress Dowager Qin continued to treat the Empress Dowager. The emperor had been waiting outside, waiting for Empress Dowager Qin to be supported and slowly walk out. His eyes were a little red, and he hurriedly went to help her. I didn't expect the emperor to notice that something was wrong with the empress and let Mount Jing help Aijia do this. Sure enough, you didn't pick the wrong person. Fortunately, the emperor arranged a capable helper for Mount Jing. Otherwise, so many things can't be investigated. The Empress Dowager has just recovered. Don't worry about this. I have already arranged for Wei Sun to investigate. I will give the Empress Dowager justice soon. It was hard for him to imagine the Empress Dowager, who could not move, lying on the bed and being slapped by the Empress. Bully. The Empress was definitely going to be abolished. However, when all the evidence was presented, it wouldn't be just a matter of abolishing the Empress. The brothers of the Empress family harmed the people. General Li was involved in the assassination of the Empress Dowager. The Empress assassinated the Empress Dowager and humiliated her. After all these things, it was not a simple matter. Tang Guo thought to herself that when Wei Sun came over, not only would he have this evidence, but he would also have the crime of the Empress secretly harming other concubines and their children, mixing up the royal bloodline, and losing the bloodline. There seemed to be no precedent of killing the Empress in Baiguang country, but her uncle was likely to set a precedent. The Empress was locked in the palace. There was no one inside. She felt cold all over. Just a moment ago, she was still the high and mighty Empress. How did she end up like this? The old mama who was sent to prison was relatively quiet. Wrong, I took the wrong step. I shouldn't have confronted Princess Mount Jing. This person is not easy to deal with. This matter was kept under wraps. The other concubines in the harem didn't know the details of the matter. They only knew that the Empress somehow angered the Emperor. Tang Wenpan heard that the Empress was grounded, but he didn't come to visit. Now he was still busy taking care of Meng Shirin, who had just been detoxified. How could he take care of the Empress mother who wanted to kill his beloved? You really don't want to see the Empress? Meng Shirin asked. In fact, she was also very annoyed that the Empress wanted her life. Tang Wenpan shook his head. I won't go. Most likely, the Empress mother did something to make the Emperor unhappy. It will be fine after a while. She has done this to you. I don't want to see her for the time being. Chapter 4409. To be honest, Meng Shirin was a little relieved that the Empress was grounded. But she didn't know what the Empress did to be grounded. Hadn't the Emperor and the Empress always gotten along well? She suddenly remembered that the Emperor had countless concubines. Was it because of the fight in the harem? If Tang Wenpan became the Emperor in the future, would he also have countless concubines? Meng Shirin panicked when she thought of this. When Tang Wenpan found out the reason, he repeatedly promised Meng Shirin that he would only marry her and would never have concubines. Meng Shirin felt a little comforted, but then she thought of the crown princess in name only. Wasn't it just a marriage? So they quarreled again. When Tang Wenpan said that he would be the emperor in the future and could make the decisions, he would send the crown princess home. Nothing had happened between them. Meng Shirin was finally relieved. The two hugged each other and told each other their hearts. For many days, Tang Wenpan didn't plan to see the Empress after the morning court. He wanted to express his attitude. The Empress had gone too far when she wanted to kill Meng Shirin. He had to let the Empress know how important Shirin was to him. The Empress had been hoping that Tang Wenpan would visit her so that she could send out some news. She felt that the Emperor seemed to want to make an example of her family. What she had done had been exposed. The Emperor would probably investigate thoroughly. By then, the Li family would be finished. However, she waited and waited, but Tang Wenpan didn't come. It had been almost a month, but Tang Wenpan didn't want to see the Empress. But he still heard some rumors. The Empress was only grounded and didn't receive any bad punishment. The fire was extinguished. But he didn't know that what he knew was what the Emperor wanted him to know. When the Emperor knew Tang Wenpan's reaction, he was so angry that he laughed. For a wild girl, he even disregarded his own mother. How did I like such a crown prince? Forget it. Didn't I think the crown prince was unsuitable? To be honest, he really didn't want to depose the crown prince for the time being. Even if the empress fell, he already had his eyes on a successor. He was still young and needed to be trained for many years. With Tang Wenpan as the crown prince, if he doted on him, many people might think that he still cared about the crown prince. Let others guess the emperor's thoughts. As long as Tang Wenpan had nothing to do with the Li family. Another month passed, and the emperor issued a decree to depose the empress, throwing the evidence of the crimes committed by the Li family in front of the officials' faces. After everyone had seen it, the Li family was dealt with. Furthermore, General Li was already on his way back. Wei Sun had already investigated the matter regarding General Li. Those people from the Li clan bullied the people, preyed on the common people, abducted innocent girls, killed people, and embezzled. They were all caught in one fell swoop. Wei Sun had investigated these criminal evidence clearly. This was the matter he valued the most, and he had long been aware of it. He did not expect that he would be able to deal with the Li family and the empress together. Speaking of which, it was actually thanks to Princess Jingshan. The imperial court was shocked by the empress and the Li family. Because the Li family's evil deeds were condoned by the empress, it was not strange that the empress was deposed. However, they did not expect that after dethroning the empress, the emperor would issue an imperial edict to execute the empress. Before the civil and military officials had time to be shocked, they saw the evidence that the emperor had announced. The empress plotted against the empress dowager. In fact, the empress dowager's illness was poisoned by the empress. The person involved was General Li, and he was the one who found the poison for the empress. Vertex. Chapter 44:10. Of course, the emperor could not publicize the bad experiences of the empress dowager. If people knew that the empress dowager was slapped by the empress every day when she couldn't move, it would be a joke. The civil and military officials found that there seemed to be a lot of words below. When they took a closer look, they found that it was the empress's fault again. The empress was behind the confusion of the real and fake princess. She knew from the beginning that Meng Shirin was not the real princess. There was another one behind, which shocked them even more. The disappearance of Princess Jingshan had something to do with the empress. It turned out that the empress arranged for someone to kill Princess Yunjin, which led to the disappearance of Princess Jingshan. As for killing the imperial heir and framing the imperial concubines in the harem, everyone was no longer surprised. In their opinion, it was inevitable to be stained with blood when one climbed to a high position in the harem. But these were not comparable to the things the empress did before. Tang Wenpan was dumbfounded. How could it be? Wasn't the empress mother just grounded? Why was she suddenly abolished and sentenced to death? His empress mother was the empress. How could she be sentenced to death? There was also the Li family, his grandfather's family, and now they were facing confiscation and execution. Tang Wenpan really didn't know about these things, so everyone shook their heads when they saw his shocked and incredulous look. Even though the crown prince didn't participate in all of these things and didn't make any mistakes, they all expected that even if the crown prince was saved for the time being, he might not inherit the throne in the future. Tang Wenpan's head was dizzy. He didn't know what to say about the things the empress had done. So, the empress mother killing Meng Shirin was just a very common thing in her eyes. 12th Literature Network. After the court, Tang Wenpan stumbled to see the empress. The people arranged by the emperor didn't stop him. No matter what, they still had to see each other for the last time. If they didn't see each other, how could the empress urge Tang Wenpan to get the position under his but as soon as possible? It could be said that if the emperor wasn't blinded by the empress' benevolent side, he would see everything clearly and would not automatically defend this person. Tang Wenpan's eyes were red when he saw the empress, who was thin beyond recognition. He quickly apologized to her and said that he was going to plead for her, but he was stopped by the empress. "It's useless for anyone to plead for what I have done. I'm afraid the emperor has planned this for a long time." The empress actually knew that the key point was Princess Jingshan. She fell so fast, most likely it had something to do with Princess Jingshan. Mama was right. She shouldn't go against Princess Jingshan. She couldn't even touch this person. How could a woman who could walk out of that place with a clean record and win the admiration of all the scholars in the world be a simple woman? Just look at those who had offended her, and you'll know what happened to them. Lord Liu Yu, the Meng clan's patriarch, and now her, all of them met tragic ends. What was even more frightening was that she still couldn't find any evidence to prove that the other party was behind all of this. Scary, this person is too scary. Mother, what should I do? Tang Wenpan choked with sobs. He regretted not coming to see the Empress earlier, but it was too late to regret now. Crown Prince, what you need to do now is to protect your position as the Crown Prince. Only when you become the Emperor in the future can you do what you want. Don't you like Meng Shireen? If you want to be with the person you like, you must obtain the greatest power so that no one can stop you. At this moment, Tang Wenpan even said that as long as he could save her, he would not be together with Meng Shireen. However, he was stopped by the Empress. Vertex. Chapter 44:11. There is no way to escape from what I have done. Crown Prince, you have to be good. By the way, when you are not in that position, don't provoke Princess Jingshan. This person is terrible. If there was a chance, the Empress certainly hoped to pull Tangwa down. These things were exposed, I don't know what role she played in it. The Empress wanted Tang Wenpan to cheer up and be more ambitious to compete for that position, so she said this to him. At this time, she didn't say anything bad about Meng Shireen, lest he rebel. Instead, she encouraged Tang Wenpan to plan for what he liked, so that he could do whatever he wanted. This was to bury a thorn in Tang Wenpan's heart. Maybe one day, when he remembered this matter, he would think that the Empress and the Leaf family had an accident because he cared too much about Meng Shireen. In this way, the Empress still didn't want Tang Wenpan to be confused by Meng Shireen. She still wanted to put her in a difficult situation. Tang Wenpan and the Empress talked for a long time, and finally staggered away. He still went to the Emperor to plead, but he naturally failed. His heart was full of resentment and grief. The Empress said so much, but Tang Wenpan remembered one thing clearly. The Empress and the Leaf family's disaster had something to do with Tangwa. Tangwa kicked Meng Shireen, plus the previous big and small grudges. Anyway, as soon as Tangwa appeared, Meng Shireen had all kinds of bad luck. He put all the sins on Tangwa's head. After he left, he told Meng Shireen and the others about this result, and he didn't forget to say that the person who made this matter was Tangwa. Therefore, in the eyes of Meng Shireen and the others, Tangwa was the one who killed the Empress and the Li family. Mount Jing is so intolerant. Princess Yunjin said, I didn't expect her to make such a big thing. In fact, in Princess Yunjin's heart, she didn't have any fluctuations when the Empress was sentenced to death. She knew that the person who arranged the assassin to assassinate her was the Empress. She was a little happy when the Empress was sentenced to death. She really didn't like the Empress. Besides, if the Empress didn't have to stop it, Shireen and Tang Wenpan could be together, right? The Empress almost killed Meng Shireen. Now that she was dead, no one would hurt Meng Shireen. As for Tangwa, her daughter, she did not want to exist. In the future, Tang Wenpan was going to be the emperor. When Tang Wenpan was the emperor, what could a mere Princess Jingshan change? She was still thinking that if Meng Shirin could become the empress in the future, she would be able to bask in her glory as a godmother. Under Tang Wenpan's guidance, Tang Gua became a bad person in their eyes. The empress was sentenced to death and the Li family was defeated. None of this had anything to do with Tang Wenpan. Everyone noticed that Tang Wenpan had become more serious and humble than before. He was much more meticulous in everything he did. The emperor didn't seem to have any intention of venting his anger on him. His position didn't seem to have changed. In the past 6 months, Tang Wenpan's actions were really like what a crown prince would do. The emperor often praised him, which made all the civil and military officials in the court feel a little incredulous. Could it be that the matter between the empress and the Li family had no effect on the crown prince? They didn't think that it wouldn't affect them, but the emperor's attitude was hard to fathom. They didn't know that the emperor privately asked Tang Gua to help him take care of a little prince and let Tang Gua be the little prince's teacher. However, on the surface, he let all the little princes be close to Tang Gua and often go to Tang Gua to play. He just told Tang Gua to take care of one of them. Everyone understood the meaning. The summit. Chapter 44:12. Tang Gua looked at the group of little radishes in front of her. Her uncle was quite powerful. He had so many sons, and the oldest was only 12 or 13 years old. The royal bloodline was not particularly bad, and each of them was particularly cute. She felt that it was a bit wasteful to only train one and let the other slack off. System, I feel that the host is going to raise cattle again. This time, it will be raised from childhood. After Tang Gua made up her mind, she would observe the character of these little princes, their strengths, and their unique talents, and then focus on training them in this aspect. It had to be said that the emperor's vision was very sharp. The little prince he fancied was indeed the best one among them. In just a few months, the emperor found that Tang Gua had led these little princes to undergo earth-shaking changes. They were full of confidence in front of him, and no matter what they said, they would mention Tang Gua. They called Tang Gua Master Mount Jing. Even if they were of the same generation, in their view, this was a teacher who really taught them skills and skills. When the emperor saw it, he was happy. Mount Jing was really not afraid of trouble. She even dug out all his son's strengths and focused on training them. It seemed that the division of labor was very clear. Even the aura that he didn't like because he had stayed in the palace for too long had lessened a lot. These little radishes had become more lively and quick-witted than before, and they were less scheming against each other. The emperor was very puzzled. How did Tang Gua train these children? He thought that there were still many little princesses in the palace, so he waved his hand and sent the group of little princesses who had not yet reached adulthood to Tang Gua's princess mansion. Mount Jing, they are all sensible children. Help me take a look at them. I think that whether it is a prince or a princess, it is always useful to see more and learn more. You have extensive knowledge. Even listening to stories here is good. No problem, uncle. Tang Gua did not refuse. She was still thinking that if those little princesses were sent to her hands, it would be even more perfect. Speaking of training little princes, she wanted to train these little princesses more. So, the emperor left happily, feeling like he had thrown out a lot of burdens. With the knowledge of Mount Jing, wasn't it easy to teach these children? In the royal family, there were some princes, princesses, and eldest princesses with children. When they heard about this, they formed a team and went to the palace. When the emperor heard this, he was unhappy. This was the teacher of his children. What were they doing here? But everyone was a relative. He couldn't let his children occupy Mount Jing alone. Therefore, He came to the princess mansion to discuss this matter with Tangua. Tangua didn't refuse. If she taught one child, she would also teach a group of them. In the future, all the children of the royal family would be her students. She could peacefully retire as a salted fish princess. These children were still young and could be taught. Many of their thoughts could be easily changed. Tangua looked at the way the children looked at her slowly turned into worship. She liked the feeling of being a role model. In the beginning, the little princesses in the palace were silent, gloomy, cautious, or a little arrogant. By now, the smiles on everyone's faces had become more sincere. Unconsciously, in the hearts of these children, Tangua occupied a large part of them. In the princess residence, they could feel that they were treated differently. The summit. Chapter 44:13. How should this kind of treatment be described? It was not high and mighty, nor was it short-sighted. Whatever they learned, they were allowed to learn according to their interests. Not only that, but they could also listen to stories. The content was rich, and the text was very simple. It was not as difficult to understand as what they had learned before. Here, if they did well, they would be praised by Tangua and rewarded with all kinds of delicious food. If they did something wrong, they would be criticized, but it would not hit their self-confidence. Who was the one who was jealous? It was those scholars who were jealous. Didn't these little radishes have better reincarnation skills? That was why they could get the guidance of Princess Jingshan. Unlike them, they could only send an invitation to visit. Not all Princess Jingshan could see them. They had to impress her with literary talent. Therefore, every time they sent an invitation, they had to show their talent. Some people who thought they were not talented enough could only cry at the door. However, they usually had the opportunity to meet because Princess Jingshan particularly liked to participate in various poetry and tea parties. She would also bring the group of little radishes. At that time, they could come up to ask for advice. The reason why they admired Princess Jingshan was not only because of her talent, but also because she would never dislike anyone's works. She would give people a lot of respect. She also said that everyone's understanding of things was different. They felt very comfortable with these words. It was not like the kind of argument they usually had with people, where each had their own opinions and argued until their faces were red. Of course, Tang Wenpan's group of people were not close to Tangua. They had been planning how to let Tang Wenpan stabilize his position and become the emperor in the future. Unfortunately, the emperor was in his prime and his body was very good. Tang Wenpan might have to wait for a long time. Tang Wenpan was not a serious person at all times. After working hard for a while, he found that his position was still unshakable. The emperor was very satisfied with his performance and relaxed a little. Seeing that Meng Shirin was getting older and older, Princess Yunjin was very worried about this matter. Meng Shirin herself began to be anxious. She was almost 25 and was already an old girl. She was more flustered than anyone else. The beliefs that she once insisted on seemed to be slowly disappearing. The only consolation was that Tang Wenpan, whether it was his body or his heart, was with her. Finally, under the suggestion of Princess Yunjin, Tang Wenpan decided to take Meng Shirin as a concubine. He also promised that when he became the emperor in the future, Meng Shirin would be the empress. Therefore, Meng Shirin compromised. The emperor saw that they had discussed it and did not make things difficult for them, so he agreed. This time, it was on the jade disc. After all, the crown prince's concubine still had some status. In any case, the crown prince would not inherit the throne in the future. He could do whatever he wanted. The current crown prince was just a shield. Actually, Meng Shireen couldn't bring herself to be happy. According to the rules, she couldn't wear red. She still had to follow the etiquette and toast to the crown princess and pay her respects. In the beginning, she had thought that the crown prince consort would definitely make things difficult for her, but she believed that Tang Wenpan would protect her, so she wasn't afraid. If the crown princess was not smart, she would only be digging her own grave. However, she hadn't expected the crown prince consort to be so modest and amiable. She didn't make things difficult for her at all and was even very considerate. This kind of behavior made her very flustered. Tang Wenpan slept in her room every day. The crown prince consort was still extremely kind to her during the day. Although everything was fine, Meng Shireen still felt very uneasy. Her personality was that if she was not comfortable, the people around her would not be comfortable either. Vertex. Chapter 44:14. Occasionally, she would quarrel with Tang Wenpan over a very small matter. Tang Wenpan would often stay overnight in the study because of her anger. At this time, the crown princess would send a cup of hot tea to Tang Wenpan. She would also comfort him, saying that his sister was young and should be more tolerant. This kind of thing often happened. The crown princess didn't fight for anything, so Tang Wenpan didn't take back her authority to manage the crown prince residence. He also felt that Meng Shireen wasn't good at managing these things, so it was better for her to live peacefully with him. But Princess Royal Yunjin paid attention to this and even asked Meng Shireen if she had a butler. Meng Shireen said directly, "The crown princess is in charge of these things." Princess Royal Yunjin said that she was silly. As the true mistress of the crown prince residence, she had to manage the household. Meng Shireen heard Princess Royal Yunjin say a lot. She was very concerned about her status as a concubine, so she went back to tell Tang Wenpan. But Tang Wenpan refused. "I don't want you to be so tired. Managing the entire crown prince residence will make you worry about many things." "I don't feel tired," Meng Shireen said stubbornly. "Do you also think that I'm just a concubine, so I don't have the right to manage these things? You and the crown princess are just in name. You both know that. Now that we're married, didn't you always say that I'm the mistress here? Why don't I have the authority to manage the household?" Meng Shireen had asked around. As the mistress, she had to manage the household. She was the mistress and had real power. She had felt that something was wrong before. So it was because of this. "You haven't done these things before. It's not what you think." Tang Wenpan didn't want to give the authority to Meng Shireen. In fact, he really felt that this matter was tiring. The crown princess was very obedient and didn't make trouble. She should be raised as a subordinate. Moreover, if this matter spread out, she would definitely be laughed at. The crown princess didn't do anything wrong by letting a concubine manage the household. He felt that the crown princess was so tactful that he should give her some dignity. If her maiden family found out, this matter would probably blow up. At that time, his imperial father would have a bad impression of him. Therefore, he couldn't give the authority to Meng Shireen, the concubine, no matter what. The two of them had a conflict. The crown princess brought tea to comfort Tang Wenpan. When she learned of this matter, she offered to give the authority to Meng Shireen. This isn't good for you. If word gets out, you'll become a joke." The crown princess shook her head with a smile and said unconcernedly, "This concubine knows that your highness does not have any thoughts towards me. We cannot become husband and wife. After all, your highness already has someone you like. Why should your relationship be affected because of the authority to manage the household? As long as your highness can give this concubine some face, this concubine can be an invisible person. Your Highness can announce to the public that concubine is still in charge of the household, but in reality, you can leave it to Meng Mimi. Tang Wenpan suddenly felt that if Meng Shirin was so sensible, she wouldn't make things difficult for him. Since the Crown Prince consort had already agreed, then Shirin should give it a try. The next day, the Crown Prince consort delivered the keys and account books to Meng Shirin. She even urged the steward to help out and gave some other instructions before returning to her own courtyard to act like an invisible person. When Meng Shirin saw the tall account book, she was a little confused. Especially when the steward was beside her, telling her what the princess and the prince's family were doing and asking her what she wanted to buy. Also, the Crown Prince's birthday was coming up. She asked her what she was going to do. Instantly, Meng Shirin felt a headache coming on. She regretted vying for the authority to manage the household. Concubine Meng, the Crown Prince consort, had originally decided to make an inventory of the shops under the Crown Prince's residence these few days. When will you go over? Vertex. Chapter 44:15. It had only been 3 days, but Meng Shirin felt that each day was like a year. She had thought that managing the household was a simple matter, but she didn't know that it was so complicated. The family's meals, the various shops under the Crown Prince residence's name, and the various accounts in the residence, as well as the interpersonal relationships needed. Especially since there were so many people in the imperial family. She looked at the records and found that they would send gifts out almost every month. They were all people of high status, so she couldn't be careless when choosing gifts. Even with the help of the steward, she was still exhausted. Meng Shirin regretted fighting for the right to manage the household, but she would lose face if she returned the power. She could only grit her teeth and do it. Thinking of Tang Wenpan's birthday next month, it seemed to be another headache. Meng Shirin wasn't willing to lower her head and ask the Crown Princess for advice, so she could only ask the steward and the people in the residence. She started to ponder what to do about the birthday. After asking, she found that holding a birthday was more complicated than the previous matters. It would be truly embarrassing if she messed it up. With the help of the steward and everyone in the residence, Meng Shirin walked gingerly and didn't make any mistakes for the time being. Tang Wenpan saw this and felt that it was fine. As long as Meng Shirin could manage the household, he didn't have any objections. He suddenly thought of the Crown Princess, this rather obedient and invisible person. Since she lost the right to manage the household, he planned to give her something else as compensation. He picked a few good things from the storeroom and sent them over. After Meng Shirin learned of this, she ran over to question why Tang Wenpan suddenly sent things to the Crown Princess. It was fine if he sent things to the Crown Princess, but he only gave them to her. She didn't even get a share. Tang Wenpan felt a bit uncomfortable and felt that Meng Shirin was being unreasonable. However, they were newlyweds and their feelings were still there. Tang Wenpan ignored that discomfort and explained it to Meng Shirin. Meng Shirin finally let it go, but she still felt uncomfortable inside. Even though Tang Wenpan picked a few good things and sent them over, she still felt uncomfortable inside. If she didn't mention it, would Tang Wenpan have ignored it and not send it to her? Meng Shirin didn't know that after the Crown Princess learned of this, she returned the things to Tang Wenpan and said, "You can't affect the relationship between your Highness and secondary consort Meng because of this concubine. Your Highness shouldn't send things to this concubine in the future. It's not good if secondary consort Meng misunderstands." Tang Wenpan's emotions were very complicated. If only Meng Shirin was half as understanding as the Crown Prince consort. Chapter 44:16. Now she didn't think the Crown Prince had the chance to inherit the throne. His maternal family was gone and he had committed such a crime. The empress was also sentenced to death. Although it was announced that she died of illness, those who should know knew. Would the emperor let a crown prince with such a background inherit the throne? Since he couldn't inherit the throne, why was he still the crown prince? There was only one reason. The emperor was secretly training the real heir and needed a shield for the time being. People outside were saying that the emperor doted on the crown prince. But she felt that the crown prince didn't even have a few decent hangers-on except for being the crown prince. There were only a few young masters from aristocratic families and a few princes. She didn't see any other talented or resourceful hangers-on. Besides, the crown prince marrying vice-concubine Meng was a joke in the eyes of outsiders. The crown prince was not without merits. He was just afraid of the emperor and wouldn't do anything that would implicate the whole mansion. Even if the empress died, the Li family would also die. Apart from working hard to be the emperor, the crown prince didn't have the intention to rebel. She had even heard the crown prince mumbling to himself about why his grandfather and uncle had committed such a grave mistake, and how it was impossible to save them now. The empress's death made the crown prince hate one person, Princess Jingshan. Why did she know this? That was because she had spies all over the mansion. Wasn't it easy for her to know anything? The crown princess thought that if the crown prince wanted to be on good terms with Princess Jingshan, he might be able to inherit the throne. But now, it was undoubtedly a fool's dream. Since she couldn't refute the crown prince's choice, she could only go along with him. She knew his temperament. As long as he was comfortable, she would be able to live comfortably. Losing the right to manage the mansion was only temporary. She didn't ask the servants to make things difficult for vice-concubine Meng. She even told them to help her. As for how the servants would cooperate, it wasn't something she could care about. Anyway, she gave these orders in front of all the servants in the mansion. The crown prince should know about this. She'd better live in seclusion. She felt that there would be a lot of trouble around the crown prince's birthday. It seemed that she would have to claim that she was sick later. Once the crown prince understood that concubine Meng could no longer manage the family, these things would naturally return to her. She had no hope that the crown prince would change his mind. Her only hope was that the crown prince would not do anything that would implicate everyone in the mansion. Judging from the other party's current behavior, he really couldn't do such a thing. In addition, she also hoped that the crown prince and concubine Meng could be together for a long time so that they could attract the attention of others. It would be best if concubine Meng could do something out of line and the crown prince would do anything to protect her. Of course, it would be best if they could elope. Such a huge mansion would be hers. When the time came, she would adopt a son from her maternal family. She hoped that the emperor would be willing to give her adopted son an identity after seeing how diligent she was as the crown princess. At that time, she was the one with the most authority in the entire mansion. As for the crown prince and concubine Meng, they should stay as far away as possible. She really didn't want to fight and scheme against a man. However, as a member of the clan, he had no choice but to obey. For almost a month, Meng Shirin was still trembling with fear. As for Tang Wen and Pan Xingqian, she was barely able to handle it with the help of the servants in the residence. Vertex. Chapter 44:17. The crown princess had been sick for half a month, so she couldn't attend the crown prince's birthday. Everyone knew about this. Many people had heard about Meng Zifei's housekeeper in the crown prince's residence, but they thought it was a joke. Even the emperor knew about this. He was speechless at that time. The crown prince was getting more and more confused. Since it was Tang Wenpan's birthday today, the emperor had to arrange for people to send something over. He asked people to pick 2 more things for the crown princess. As for that Meng Zifei, sorry, he didn't see her in his eyes. If it weren't for these two confused people, how could that person stay in the capital? Fortunately, Mount Jing didn't care, so it wasn't so difficult. In fact, many people wouldn't attend in person, especially those imperial princes and princesses who were more senior than the crown prince, unless they had a good relationship with the crown prince. Most of them arranged for people to deliver the gifts and say a few words of blessings. Some came to meet the crown princess, drink some wine, and then leave. Tang Gua didn't receive an invitation from the crown prince's residence. It was reasonable to say that the imperial family would receive it. After all, this was etiquette. If the crown princess was in charge of this matter, the person who should send the invitation would do so no matter what. However, the person who did this was Meng Shirin. She thought that they didn't have a good relationship with Tang Gua, and they didn't have much interaction. Whether it was Tang Wenpan or her, they had some conflicts with Tang Gua. How could they invite an enemy to celebrate their birthday? Even if they invited, the other party might not come. Why ask for a snub? There were so many invitations, and the servants in the residence might not know all of them. However, Tang Gua still sent people to deliver things. It wasn't a birthday gift for the crown prince, but because she heard that the crown princess was sick and had been bedridden for half a month. It was such a big matter. Of course, she had to send something to express her concern. When they arrived at the gate of the crown prince's residence and were asked for an invitation, Tang Gua's people were already prepared. They only said, "Invitation." "What invitation?" "I don't have an invitation. I'm here to visit the crown princess under the order of Princess Jingshan. I heard that the crown princess has been bedridden for half a month and is seriously ill. Do you need an invitation to see the crown princess?" This person had a strange expression on his face. After he finished speaking, everyone around him heard him clearly. So, Princess Jingshan did not receive an invitation. Instantly, countless people's impression of Meng Shirin became even worse. Princess Jingshan had such a big reputation. Who wouldn't dare to send an invitation to her when doing something big? Regardless of whether the other party came or not, the invitation had to be sent. You've already sent everyone else but not her. What a coincidence. She heard that the crown prince consort was sick and even arranged for someone to come and visit her. When the butler saw this, his heart skipped a beat. Is there no invitation from Princess Jingshan? He remembered that on the list he gave to Meng Sufei, there was Princess Jingshan's name. She was also at the front. She shouldn't have missed such a big name, right? Regardless of what everyone thought, Tang Gua's men were personally led by the steward to visit the crown prince consort. They only left after delivering the gifts to the crown prince consort. Meng Shirin's banquet wasn't bad. Everything was good. But at the same time, it also gave people the feeling that the life in the crown prince's residence was very extravagant. Such a big banquet must have cost a lot of money, right? However, during the birthday banquet, there would be small mistakes from time to time. Although it was not a big deal, it still made people think that Meng Shirin was not good enough. Especially before, they had attended the crown prince's birthday banquet. At that time, it was hosted by the crown princess. Meng Shirin couldn't compare at all. The summit. Chapter 44:18. Many people found that Meng Shirin was like the mistress of the crown prince's mansion while Tang Wenpan acted like a treasure. They were speechless. The crown prince seemed to be a little confused. In this way, the crown prince's birthday banquet passed without any mishap. Even if Meng Shirin wanted to make a big mistake, the crown princess would not allow it, so everything was under her control. But she did not care about Meng Shirin's extravagant spending. She had a lot of dowry, so it was not a problem for her to take care of her own expenses. When the time came, the crown prince would fill the hole made by Meng Shireen. Anyway, they were a real couple. After Meng Shireen took care of the crown prince's mansion for half a year, she was told by the butler that there was not much money left in the account. In fact, the butler had indirectly reminded Meng Shireen several times to save money. Some things did not need to be so extravagant, and there was no need to buy the most expensive things. In order to make the servants work harder, Meng Shireen often rewarded them with all kinds of money. She was very generous. Of course, she did this to win people's hearts. She did not expect that even the servants' appetite would become so big. If she gave them too much and often, they would think it was natural. Seeing the situation, Meng Shireen felt bad, so she could only reduce the mansion's expenses. Intuitively, the reward for the servants in the mansion became very little. Gradually, these people were dissatisfied with Meng Shireen and slacked off, which made her complain. So, she could only use the dowry given by Princess Royal Yunjin to make up for it to satisfy the servants. But in the second half of the year, there were too many things to spend money on. All kinds of things required money. Meng Shireen spent more than half of her dowry, but she still lived a tight life. The incident broke out when Tang Wenpan found a worm in the food when he was eating. Everything broke out and the truth was found out. Only then did Tang Wenpan know that the crown prince's mansion was almost emptied by Meng Shireen. Even those who managed the shops thought Meng Shireen was gullible and embezzled a lot of money. Otherwise, with so many shops under the crown prince's mansion, they would have enough money to spend. Is the crown princess feeling better? Tang Wenpan asked the person beside him. She can walk around now. In the future, the crown princess will be in charge of managing the mansion. Tang Wenpan decided. Meng Shireen did not say anything. When the crown princess received this task again, she immediately led her men to settle the score in front of Tang Wenpan and Meng Shireen. She didn't want to put a single cent of her dowry into it. In the end, the crown prince could only use his own money to fill up the empty space. If the crown prince consort had to make up for it herself, it would show how incompetent he was as the crown prince. Meng Shireen could only watch helplessly. She could not say anything. Her heart was also very bitter. She had put in so much dowry. How was she going to calculate it? But she didn't dare to say it, because she was the one who had caused all this. She could clearly sense that Tang Wenpan was very dissatisfied with this matter. Actually, the steward wasn't good at all. It was better to let the crown prince consort handle such troublesome matters. Not only did Tang Wenpan use his own money to fill up the empty space, he also gave many things to the crown prince consort. After all, this was a mess. To be honest, he felt a bit apologetic. Since someone was paying, these matters were trivial to the crown prince consort. In less than half a month, there was a new batch of servants in the residence. The greedy people in the crown prince's shop would be dismissed if they had a good attitude, while those who had a bad attitude would be sent to the officials to be punished. The crown prince consort laughed like crazy when all the servants in the residence were replaced with new ones. This time, the people who had been replaced were all her people. Whether it was the servants in the residence, the servants in the shops, or the farmstead, they were all her men. The apex. Chapter 44:19. When Tang Guo learned about this matter, she laughed like crazy. She felt that Tang Wenpan and Meng Shireen were really stupid. She also felt that this crown prince consort was a character. Every step she took was very clear. The person who could make Tang Wenpan and Meng Shireen uncomfortable was her friend. While she was thinking, this crown prince consort also sent her a gift in return, saying that she was grateful for sending someone to visit her before. Due to Tang Wenpan, the crown prince consort couldn't visit. But it wasn't a problem to arrange a person occasionally to make friends. Tang Gui decided to talk to the emperor about this matter and talk about the crown prince consort's good points. The emperor naturally understood a little. The crown prince consort is a good person, but the crown prince is too much of a bastard. I heard that some time ago, his secondary consort Meng almost emptied the entire crown prince mansion. There was no money in the account books, and the servants embezzled it. Humph. The emperor snorted coldly. The crown prince consort is not bad. She took over the housekeeping power and dealt with this matter in less than half a month. It's a pity. He married such a bastard. Because the emperor gave up on the crown prince, the emperor didn't care at all about him and the crown prince consort consummating their marriage. He just felt that it was a pity. Tang Wenpan actually couldn't see such a generous and capable woman in the harem. Since Mount Jing appeared in Baiguang Kingdom, the emperor especially appreciated smart and capable women. For example, the Mount Jing guards at the border were much more stable since they went there. He also heard the minister talk about his daughter who joined the army, and he also sighed and felt proud. There were also those little princesses who studied with Mount Jing. Each of them had changed. They were delicate and weak, but they had become much more generous. Those who were arrogant and overbearing also restrained their temperaments. Sometimes his words didn't necessarily work. As long as Tang Gui came out, these children would be unbelievably obedient. That's right. Even people like Wei Sun consciously restrained their sharpness and temperament in front of Mount Jing. These children were just a piece of cake. 20 to 50,000. The emperor didn't know that Wei Sun was no longer limited to getting up early to send gossip to Tang Gui. When there was something new, he would knock on the door in the middle of the night just to send first-hand news. The princess mansion had the Mount Jing guards, but they all treated Eunuch Wei as if he didn't exist. They watched him step on the Qin palace and fly into the princess's window. Anyway, he was just a eunuch and couldn't do anything. At most, he would send some gossip to the princess. System, naive woman. You're saying that Meng Shireen and Tang Wenpan had an argument, and now she's crying in the third prince's arms. Wei Sun smiled and said, yes. Meng Shireen and the third prince said that she was very depressed and uncomfortable. This was not the life she wanted. After the birthday banquet, the crown prince clearly felt that some people were not close to him, and he felt a sense of crisis. Currently, he is busy building relationships and neglected Meng Shireen. Wei Sun mocked. Meng Shireen even scolded him for having changed. For the sake of power, he forgot the pure feelings between them. The crown prince also felt very tired and wanted to avoid Meng Shireen for the time being. In the end, the third prince took advantage of the situation. Tang Gui took a sip of the hot tea and said, many thanks to Eunuch Wei for delivering such good news from afar. It's good that the princess likes to hear it. Under the light in the room, Tang Gui swept Wei Sun's face and finally fixed her eyes on his chin. She waved at Wei Sun. Wei Sun thought that Tang Gui wanted to tell him some secret, so he moved closer. Who knew that his chin was pinched by a warm little hand? And then he heard a thunderous sentence, Eunuch Wei, you have a beard. It's a bit prickly. Wei Sun, Eunuch Wei, do eunuchs also grow beards? I seem to have discovered your secret. The peak. Chapter 44:20. Eunuch Wei. Seeing that Wei Sun didn't speak, Tang Gui called out again. Her finger had already landed on Wei Sun's Adam's apple. Eunuch Wei, aren't you going to explain what's going on? This is no small matter. If you're discovered to have a beard on your chin, you'll definitely be pulled off your pants for an inspection. Wei Sun's lips twitched. Princess's words are a little rude. Rude is a little rude, but it's the truth. Eunuch Wei, do you dare to be inspected? Wei Sun came back to his senses. The princess had long discovered that he was a fake eunuch, but she didn't expose him. He had clearly concealed it very well, so how could the other party suspect him? He even wondered how many people had suspected his identity as a fake eunuch. This made Wei Sun a little worried. Now that he had taken revenge, he shouldn't have any regrets. Even if he lost his life, it was nothing. However, he actually couldn't bear to lose his life and wanted to live. It was as if there was something in this world that he was reluctant to part with. He looked at Tanguo, who was close by, and suddenly understood. However, due to the huge difference in status, they could never be together openly. This feeling made Wei Sun suddenly feel a little uncomfortable. Eunuch Wei, don't worry. As long as you're obedient, I won't expose your little secret. Tanguo comforted. These words made Wei Sun feel a little strange. Hadn't he always listened to the princess's arrangements? Come in and talk. Tanguo's words startled Wei Sun, and his heart raced. This wasn't good, right? Be good, and your identity can be kept a secret. System, host, won't you scare people away like this? Aren't you too bad? Why did you call people into the room? Do you have any improper thoughts? Tanguo pursed her lips and smiled. Otherwise. Wei Sun wanted to refuse, but seeing Tanguo's serious expression and giving him a seat, he could only climb in from the window. Feeling Tanguo's gaze on him, Wei Sun said, Princess, since you've already noticed, there's no need to stare anymore. Just tell me what you want me to do. Previously, I already knew that Eunuch Wei was very handsome. Now that I look at you from such a close distance, you are indeed becoming more and more handsome. Wei Sun could tell that the princess's words were too hooligan. It wasn't like he didn't understand. Eunuch Wei, you'll do whatever I ask you to do. Tanguo grasped the key point of the previous sentence. Then don't regret it. Wei Sun's lips moved. He wanted to eliminate some possibilities, but in the end, he couldn't speak. Of course not. Then, Eunuch Wei, come and accompany me to admire the moon every night. After Tanguo finished speaking, she also teased, this is not vulgar, right? It should be considered quite elegant. Wei Sun's ears turned red. He felt that he shouldn't think about this carefully, but it seemed like he couldn't refuse. In fact, deep in his heart, he didn't want to refuse. All right. I'm a little tired. I'm going to sleep. Eunuch Wei, please do as you wish. Wei Sun, how am I supposed to do as I please? Tanguo lay down and fell asleep, leaving Wei Sun there to stare. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The princess really slept when she said she wanted to. She didn't delay at all and just left him here. Previously, he had thought that the princess wanted to do something indescribable to him. It seemed that he was thinking too much. Listening to the person on the bed's gradual breathing, Wei Sun couldn't help but walk over. He sat on the edge of the bed and stared at that bright face. He couldn't help but be a little dazed. Princess, do you really want Wei Sun to accompany you to admire the moon every night? I've decided. You can't go back on your word. Peek. After weighing the pros and cons, he didn't give up on his current preparations and recklessly went to find Meng Shirin. He clearly remembered that it was because of Meng Shirin that he didn't visit the Empress and missed the chance to save the Empress and the Li family. If he disregarded everything and searched the streets for her, he would definitely become a laughingstock. Imperial father would think that he was not a qualified crown prince. When Meng Shirin saw that Tang Wenpan did not do everything he could to find her, her heart turned cold. She calmly stayed in the courtyard arranged by the third prince. Because she missed Princess Yunjin, she asked the third prince to send a message. After knowing all of this, Princess Yunjin didn't tell Tang Wenpan about Meng Shirin. She also felt that Tang Wenpan had gone overboard. The third prince planned to force the emperor to abdicate and rebel. He thought that this was the fastest way to obtain the highest authority. That way, he would be able to have Meng Shirin. Princess Yunjin was a little hesitant about this matter. She didn't even dare to think about forcing the emperor to abdicate. Peak. Chapter 44-22. I don't think it's safe to force the emperor to abdicate. There are so many experts around the emperor. We may not succeed. Princess Royal Yunjin said. In fact, she was dissatisfied with the emperor. She was even a little afraid. Because of Meng Shirin's matter, she still held a grudge. If they could succeed in forcing the emperor to abdicate, of course, it would be good. If they didn't succeed, then what awaited them would be eternal damnation. If Aunt Yunjin is willing to help, our chances of success will greatly increase. Aunt Yunjin's birthday is coming soon. Every year at this time, Imperial Father will come to the Princess Mansion. The third prince's eyes flashed. If we start at that time and put Imperial Father under house arrest, then we will succeed. Meng Shirin said at this time, Princess Jingshan will definitely come. Her martial arts are very good, and the emperor likes her. She will most likely follow the emperor. It depends on Aunt Yunjin. As long as Aunt Yunjin asks people to drive Princess Jingshan back and show that she doesn't like her, won't it work? Meng Shirin was silent. It seemed to work. Once it succeeds, Shirin will be my empress, and Aunt Yunjin will be great elder Princess Yunjin. At that time, who will dare to be rude to my aunt? And what does that Princess Jingshan count for? Aunt Yunjin doesn't like Princess Jingshan to show up in public all day long, right? Let her stay in the princess mansion obediently in the future, and then grant her a marriage. Won't everything be solved? Hearing that she could arrange Tanggua's life, Princess Royal Yunjin was tempted. She also liked power. Who didn't like to be high and mighty, not looking at other people's eyes and doing things as she pleased? Since she came back from Mount Jing, she had been very aggrieved. The emperor would protect the other party no matter what happened. She didn't even have a chance to vent her anger. With the consent of Princess Royal Yunjin, the third prince went to prepare. Meng Shirin's heart was very uneasy. She wanted to be the empress. But she still couldn't forget Tang Wenpan. She understood that once the third prince succeeded in forcing the emperor to abdicate and became the emperor, Tang Wenpan would not have a good time. This was the person she put in her heart. Even if they had a conflict and she was angry at the other party's neglect of her, she still couldn't forget. But in the face of the third prince's gentleness, Meng Shirin didn't know how to solve it. While Meng Shirin was in a dilemma, the day of Princess Yunjin's birthday arrived. Every year at this time, no matter if Princess Yunjin was holding a big birthday banquet or a small one, the emperor would come and drink some wine. This year was no exception. The emperor really didn't know that the third prince and Princess Yunjin would plot to force him to abdicate. Because with his understanding, eldest Princess Yunjin wouldn't do such a thing. However, he had also underestimated her. After Princess Yunjin was instigated, she would be led by the nose without thinking. Because of etiquette, Tanggua also went to Princess Yunjin Royal's mansion early in the morning. However, before she could see the person, she was sent away by the other party's people. Princess Royal wants to have a happy birthday and is not very happy. Princess Jingshan, please go back. Tanggua had no objections. She put down the gift and left. Of course, she knew that the third prince and eldest princess Yunjin were planning to force the emperor to abdicate. Wei Sun knew that she was paying attention to these people and had always arranged for people to keep an eye on them. With Wei Sun's arrangements, she was not worried that the emperor would be in any danger. Tang Guo returned to the mansion with peace of mind. In fact, she didn't expect that Meng Shirin's operation would be so coquettish. It turned out that the more Meng Shirin thought about it, the more flustered she felt. She still thought that she couldn't watch Tang Wenpan lose the opportunity to inherit the throne. Therefore, she quickly ran to the crown prince's mansion to find Tang Wenpan and told him about Princess Yunjin and the third prince forcing the emperor to abdicate. The summit. Chapter 44-23. When Tang Wenpan heard that the third prince was going to rebel, he didn't care about anything else and hurriedly brought people to Princess Yunjin's residence to save the emperor. Meng Shirin's heart was at ease, but she forgot that Princess Yunjin was also involved in this matter, the person who treated her as her daughter. She didn't follow, but still persuaded Tang Wenpan to spare the third prince's life. No matter what, they were blood brothers. Tang Wenpan hurriedly promised and hurriedly left with his people. When the crown princess heard all this, she only thought it was a joke. At the same time, she was relieved. Fortunately, she didn't marry the third prince, otherwise, she wouldn't have a good life. When Tang Wenpan brought people over, it was just when the third prince showed his claws and teeth and made a move on the emperor. Princess Yunjin had put something in the wine and the emperor was indeed drugged. He only brought a few people with him, but at the critical moment, they sent a signal to Wei Sun's people. Before Wei Sun's people made a move, Tang Wenpan rushed in with his people and fought with the third prince's people. With such a big matter, the emperor's people immediately sent a signal to Wei Sun's side. Not long after, Wei Sun rushed in with his people and quickly took down the third prince and Princess Yunjin's people. The emperor was drugged at this time, but his eyes were very cold. This coldness was especially cold when he looked at Princess Yunjin. Imperial sister, what are you dissatisfied with? Did I not give you enough honor as the Princess Yunjin? Why are you colluding with the younger ones to force me to abdicate? The emperor really couldn't figure it out. Wasn't Princess Yunjin's status high enough? Ever since she was brought back, he had never treated her unfairly. He never thought that Princess Yunjin would do such a thing. They were siblings who had gone through thick and thin together. They were biological siblings. After Imperial Mother passed away, she asked him to take good care of his biological sister. But now, this biological sister actually colluded with the third prince to force him to abdicate and pull him down from this position. The emperor's heart was a little cold. Princess Yunjin was very flustered. The plan was clearly very good, but why did so many people suddenly appear? She looked at the third prince for help, wanting an answer. Didn't they say that as long as the emperor was subdued, they would succeed? The third prince was relatively silent. When he saw Tang Wenpan appear, he understood that Meng Shirin must have tipped him off. During the interrogation, Tang Wenpan naturally didn't forget to give credit to Meng Shirin. He said that Meng Shirin accidentally found out about this matter and told him so that he could arrive in time. After Princess Yunjin heard this, she was completely stunned. She was betrayed by Meng Shirin. She couldn't believe it. How could Shirin do this? Did she not want to be the empress anymore? The emperor only felt that his heart was very tired. He casually rewarded Meng Shirin with some things, which was very perfunctory. Now that he was angry, Tang Wenpan didn't dare to say anything. Princess Yunjin was imprisoned in the princess palace for life and was never allowed to go out. It was equivalent to being imprisoned at home, but she didn't have any freedom. Outsiders were not allowed to explore, nor were they allowed to meet people without the emperor's permission. Because the third prince had participated in the rebellion, he was sent to guard the imperial mausoleum for the rest of his life. The other princes who were implicated were either arranged to guard the imperial mausoleum or banished to other places. Otherwise, they were imprisoned in their mansions and not allowed to go out, just like Princess Yunjin. This matter wasn't publicized, but everyone thought it was a joke. Meng Shirin finally remembered her godmother, Princess Yunjin, and wanted to secretly visit her. Tang Wenpan couldn't bear it, so he helped her. After getting the emperor's permission, he took Meng Shirin to see Princess Yunjin. This time, they didn't hug each other and cry. When Princess Yunjin saw Meng Shirin, she cursed, "Why did you harm me? I treated you as my own daughter and gave you a dowry. Wasn't it good enough for you? Why did you harm me? Meng Shirin, have you ever thought about the consequences of your actions? You're just trying to kill me." "That's right," Meng Shirin said. The summit that you're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.